Morning, everybody. Welcome to Tampa City Council. I hope you guys are doing well, and happy pre-Easter to everyone that celebrates. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I would like to recognize Councilwoman Naya Young. Thanks.
Alrighty. So today I am so excited. We have Pastor Sam Canchola, is the pastor of Radiant Church Heights, one of Radiant Church's 13 locations serving communities across Tampa Bay. Pastor Sam is a graduate of San Jose State University and married to Aislinn Canchola. Pastor Sam leads and serves in the Tampa Heights neighborhood, proudly within District 5, alongside Councilwoman Naya Young, where he is passionate about strengthening families, building community, and serving the city through faith and local partnership. And I'm also very excited to bring Pastor Sam today because he is also an awesome neighbor to myself and my family. So, Pastor Sam, will you lead us in the invocation, please?
Yes, definitely. Well, first of all, I just want to say good morning and just really appreciate you guys, as Naya had mentioned. Great neighbor, but also just recently moving here about 5 years ago. My wife, Aslan, and I have been just warmly welcomed by all that you have been doing. And so we have now considered it home, and that is now where we get to be neighbors with the Young family. So very grateful for all you're doing and grateful to be here. Let's go ahead and let's go to the Lord and let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of this city. Your word says to seek the peace and prosperity of the city where you have placed us. And today, we lift up Tampa before you. Thank you for every leader that is in this room who carries the weight of public trust. Would you give them wisdom that is pure, peaceable, and full of mercy? Would you give them courage to do what is right, even when it is difficult? Give them humility to listen well, conviction to lead justly, and compassion for the people behind every policy, every budget, and every decision. Lord, I pray that you let righteousness and justice shape this city. Would you let neighborhoods flourish? Let our families be strengthened. Would you let businesses prosper? Let schools be safe. Let the vulnerable be protected. And would you let unity rise before division? Your word tells us that what does the Lord require of us? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And so I pray that spirit marks every conversation in this chamber today. And as we approach Easter, we thank you for the gospel truth that through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, sin does not have the final word, darkness does not have the final word, and even death does not have the final word. Because Jesus rose, there is hope for every heart and every city. And so bless Tampa, bless these leaders, bless District 5, and let this city be marked by peace, wisdom, and flourishing. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you, guys. Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, thank you.
Miranda. Here. Maniscalco. Maniscalco. Here. Hertak. Here. Young. Here. Vieira. Here. Carlson. Here. Clendenin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I'd like to get a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular session held on March 26, 2026. I have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Let's go through the agenda. Councilwoman Hertak.
Yes. I'm removing item number 2, the ATU. It's been removed from the agenda because the ATU trustee, Richard Jackson, let HR know that they had not made an ATU Employee of the Month selection for April. My office has reached out and asked when they will be ready to resume the award presentation. As soon as I have that information, I will make a motion to correct the calendar.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Hertak, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, let's go through the agenda. I had sent out a memo asking that we pull from the consent agenda items 14 and 15. Okay. Can I get a motion to remove that from the consent agenda?
Second.
Yeah, question, do you want that placed under staff reports, and do you want staff present?
I think we can just talk about that during when we go to the agenda item of items that have been pulled from the consent agenda. And if they choose to be present, they're welcome to be
Okay,
present.
thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Carlson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, just for your attention, for items 16 and 17, there is a substitute resolution that was submitted by Attorney Morris Massey, just so you know. Okay, anything else besides, now we go to staff reports? Before we go to staff reports, everybody good? Okay, staff reports. What do we need here? Item number 25. Do we need staff for 25?
No.
Okay, no. Do we need staff for 12, 26 is, yes.
26, 27, 28.
Okay, yes. Yes,
26, 27, 28.
and yes. Okay, 29. We got the memo from them about the autism, Louis?
So, thank you for that. There's a gentleman, Eric Kaiser, works for the city of Tampa. I don't believe he was speaking on that. If he's not here to speak on that, then the memo will suffice. But I certainly don't need anyone from Tampa Police Department here.
Okay.
I should know within a short time, but very likely memo, but no staff.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item number 30. This is yours also with the autism. So I'm going to assume no on that.
Oh,
one as
yes,
well.
sir, that's it.
Okay. And while we're doing this, Louis, did you get the memo from the clerk asking you to look at those? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
They're in one. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
very good.
And I'm sorry, I meant that for 30. 29 staff reports, or strike that. The written report suffices.
Okay.
30 written report suffices, but I reserve the right for Mr. Kaiser should he come.
Okay, very good. 31. In person, so yes. Okay, 32.
Yes.
Okay. And then the rest of them are written staff reports. Okay, very good.
Motion to receive and file 33, 34, and 35.
We have a motion to receive and file 33, 34, and 35 from Councilwoman Hurtak, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, a second from, I didn't hear which one that was.
Vieira.
Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, the ayes have it. Very good. Agenda is approved. Okay, can I ask for council's, I don't believe we do.
Administrative update?
I don't believe we do. Can I ask for council's privilege, permission to get a little bit of chair's privilege here? I had a statement that I would like to read into the record about something that happened.
Do you need me to? I yield the floor to Chair Clendenin.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is in reference to a member of the Hillsborough County Commission last week called a news reporter and made some allegations pertaining to about me, and then also from the dais yesterday during the county commission meeting, repeated those allegations. So I wanted to make the statement to make sure that I was perfectly clear about what my status is. So let me be absolutely clear. The recent claims made by County Commissioner Wastewater accusing me of nefariously releasing documents related to the raised deal are completely false and without merit. At no point have I ever possessed, physically or electronically, any such documents. The allegation itself is a completely fabricated political attack designed to mislead and distract. At no point have I violated any law or ethics code. These accusations are not only baseless, they are reckless and damaging. Public officials have a responsibility to engage in honest, fact-based discourse, not to spread misinformation for political purposes. Commissioner Wastill is hereby on notice if these false allegations continue, particularly any claim that I've acted illegally or unethically. I will take appropriate legal action, including issuing a formal cease and desist. I will not allow my integrity to be undermined by unfounded attacks. I remain committed to transparency, accountability, and serving the public in good faith. Very good. Can I get a motion to receive and file that?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, a second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that opportunity to set that record straight. As you can imagine, my jaw dropped to the floor when I heard that. So here we go. Let's honor some police. Councilman Vieira.
to see y'all. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Tampa City Councilman Luis Vieira. I wanted to, if I may, take a point of privilege that I see here behind us. Officer Ashley Bell, who's here, who's the daughter of the late Detective Randy Bell, who along with Detective Ricky Childers and Trooper James Crooks gave all in 1998 for the city of Tampa, and as a trooper, Trooper Crooks. I just wanted to recognize you, ma'am, so God bless you. So real pleasure to be here today. Luis Vieira for the Officer of the Month. We're here to strike that. We're here to honor Officer Daryl McNeil for the Officer of the Month, and like I always say, we always do this to reflect the values of the community that we serve, that supports our first responders, including our police officers. City of Tampa is a very pro-cop area, and that cuts across political lines, I believe, and that reflects this. So if I may, I'll have Chief Burkoff speak about the honoree.
Good morning, Council. It is an honor to come before Council to recognize our officers who are working hard every day to keep our city safe. Today, I'm standing before you with my command staff, including 4 newly promoted. Many of them are familiar to you already. The newly promoted include Deputy Chief Eric DeFelice and he'll be over our investigation and administration, and Deputy Chief Pat Messmer. He'll be over our operations, and Major Lisa Purcell. She'll be over our Criminal Investigations Division, which is our homicide and sex crimes units. And last but not least, Major Whitney McCormick. And she'll be staying in District 2. She was the captain there, and now she'll be the major in District 2. So, you know, it's an honor to have the command staff that I have. Our entire staff looks forward to continuing our great partnership with Council. With that, I am proud to recognize our Officer Daryl McNeil, as our April 2026 Officer of the Month for his exceptional professionalism and proactive leadership within our District 2 area. He works on our street anti-crime squad and also on our SWAT team. Over the past year, Officer McNeil identified vacant apartment units as a primary catalyst for sustained increase of local crime. He independently developed and executed a strategical operation plan to reclaim these properties. And being an officer on a street anti-crime squad, that is not an easy task to do, to formulate those plans with all that you already have on your plate. But by building strong relationships with property managers, code enforcement, he successfully eliminated hazardous environments and established long-term security measures that have stabilized these neighborhoods. So it's not just going in and taking care of business, it's ensuring that it lasts. So his efforts resulted in 22 reports, multiple arrests for narcotics and trespassing, and a significant reduction in calls for service. By disrupting locations being used for narcotic activity, theft, and other criminal offenses, his initiative improved overall safety and quality of life for the Temple Crest area, which is near 50th and Bush, if you're familiar with that area. So beyond his tactical achievements, Officer McNeil also embodies the heart of community policing. This past holiday season, he personally funded and distributed over $1,200 in Christmas gifts to more than 50 underprivileged children, fostering that vital trust that the community that he serves to protect. Whether he's responding to a high-risk SWAT call-out or strengthening neighborhood bonds through his own generosity, Officer McNeil's dedication to crime reduction and community engagement shows that he's a true guardian for the city of Tampa and a well-deserved recipient of our April 2026 Officer of the Month. So congratulations.
Thank you, Chief. And so, Officer, before we formally honor you, there's a lot of folks here for the community who would like to come forward to just show you a small token of their appreciation. Begin with Mr. Barclay there.
Thanks, Brent. Good morning, Council. Brandon Barclay, Tampa PBA. We just want to present this plaque to the officer for a job well done. Good job, officer.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council. Brian Ford with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Officer, on behalf of the Glazer family and our entire organization, we have a little tradition at 1 buck. Anybody that goes over and above gets a game ball. And hearing your story, I'm here on behalf of the Glazer family and our entire organization to say thank you. Thank you to you, your family, for your sacrifice and what you do, especially what you do for the kids. So congratulations and thank you, and your very own. And as Council, Mr. Chair mentioned, do not have a fumble there. Congratulations, Chief. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Council. Mary Dillon, Stratus Center for the Performing Arts. Officer McNeil, thank you on behalf of Stratus Center. We want to offer you tickets to a complimentary show. Please enjoy. I'm sure you're going to receive some other benefits here coming up that you can put some tickets with that show and a meal and enjoy your evening. Thank you. Thank you.
And there's a lot of good shows coming up this season, I saw.
It's an exciting season.
It's great.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Officer McNeil. I'm Lori Osborne. I'm with the Florida Orchestra. And on behalf of the Florida Orchestra, we'd like to invite you and your family to an upcoming performance. And just to tell you also, thank you so much for not only keeping our city safe, but truly making a difference with that community. So we really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Council. Good morning and congratulations. My name is Mary Beth Williams. I'm Executive Director of Friends of the Riverwalk. On behalf of the Friends of the Riverwalk, I have a few things to present to you. The first is a personalized paver that will be placed along the Tampa Riverwalk in honor of your service. And next, a few gifts from our members. On behalf of Manthe Hospitality, we have some passes to Pirate Water Taxi, Yacht Starship, and the Lost Pearl, a gift certificate from Florida Avenue Brewing, and a gift certificate from Splitsville. We hope that you enjoy them, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Lou Bailey, and I'm here on behalf of Zoo Tampa, and we just want to show our support for all of the police. Usually Mark Haney is here with me, and he picks out the animals, but he picked a good one this time. It's a painted dog. Couple of facts. They hunt in packs, just like the TPD, and they have an 80% success rate of getting their prey. So lions have a 20%. So we always think of lions as the big successful hunters, but the painted dogs are more successful. So anyway, your story was very impressive. I'm often here in council representing my neighborhood, so I appreciate your focus on making neighborhoods safe and all of the teamwork and everybody that serves. You're awesome. Congratulations. Inside the basket is an annual membership to the zoo. So for the next year, you can come for free, park for free, enjoy our events, enjoy the animals. Thanks again.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Chief, and congratulations, Officer McNeil. I'm Grace Gonzalez. I'm here on behalf of the Gonsmart family and the 1905 family of restaurants. Thank you for being here in Tampa, for serving Tampa. We want you to have a night off and relax at one of our restaurants. While the weather's nice, enjoy outdoor oysters at Eulalie, the rooftop at Casa Santo Stefano, or a flamenco show at the Columbia. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council. Leo Gary, Dennis Montero from Bill Curry Ford. Congratulations on winning this award. Again, I'll say it every single time I'm up here. It is an honor for me to do this every single time, every month. I truly appreciate and respect each and every one of you guys.
Hey. Microphone's in the podium.
I know, but
I know it's uncomfortable, but we have to pick it up for posterity on the YouTube and everything.
I appreciate and respect each and every one of you guys that puts that uniform on every single day.
Oh
again,
my gosh.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Bill Curry Ford, I want to present you a full free maintenance on your personal vehicle. The letter that Jennifer writes, unfortunately she is out of town, so I'll get that to you next week. I'll bring it to you wherever you're at. There's also some goodies inside the bag too for apparel. Yeah, congratulations again. All right.
I already feel bad for whoever your teacher was when you were 14 years old. Yeah.
Good morning, Council. Mike MacArthur, Steps Towing Service. Congratulations, officer, on a job well done. On behalf of Todd Stepp and Steps Towing, we'd like to present you with a gift card for a night out on dinner on us. Take some time off. You deserve it. Thank you for everything you do for our city. Thank you. Yeah.
Come on, Steve. Show them how it's done.
I face the front all the time. I'm trainable. You know, I don't need a tutorial to, speak to the council. On behalf of Meat Market and Old Hyde Park Village, we're providing you with a gift certificate. You can enjoy yourself over there for lunch or dinner. On behalf of Jackson's Bistro on Harbor Island, enjoy yourself over there, lunch or dinner. Yummy House China Bistro, enjoy yourself over there, lunch or dinner. On behalf of the Chicho Restaurant Group, we're providing you with a gift certificate for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And the last thing is, please go and work out so you don't go and get overweight. But it sounds like you're busy anyway. I'd like to remind you, everyone, in this holy period of time, that to give more and take less for yourself. And it sounds like you've done that. We appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
So, sir, on behalf of a grateful city of Tampa and a grateful Tampa City Council and Tampa government, it's our pleasure to honor you, sir, as the Officer Month with this Tampa City Council commendation. So here you go. God bless you. Happy Easter. Thank you, sir. And if you want to speak on that.
I wasn't prepared to have to say anything. I found out about 30 minutes ago that I might have to say something. I just want to say that I do appreciate everyone that has been here. I have been blessed, especially recently, to feel like I have an abundance of what I deserve. But I appreciate everybody that's here. I appreciate my squad that's here. And I'd really like to thank a certain individual in the crowd who's been in my life for a little over a decade. And he has always, whether it's tough love or just straight honest leadership, he's always been he's been good to me, and he's always pointed me in the right direction. He actually pointed me to this police department, and I just really want to thank him and everybody here. So Sergeant Zelansky, he's the man. If you don't know him, you should. And, so I appreciate him putting me in for this award, and I'd like to thank staff for finding my just daily activities worthy of all this thanks and praise. Thank you.
One, thank you on behalf of Tampa City Council and the City of Tampa, as Councilman Vera said, for your contributions. This council is a very big supporter of Tampa PD and the men and women that serve our city. So thank you on behalf of all of us for everything you do every day. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Chief, you want the folks that you promoted, you want to bring them up to the podium real quick so everybody can see everybody? I know you announced them all, but I think that would be a good thing to do. Some of us are familiar with them, some of them are not. Well, congratulations, everybody. You want to introduce yourselves real quick and what your new position is?
So, Eric DeFelice, and I will be the new Deputy Chief over support and criminal investigations.
Congratulations.
Good morning, Council. Patrick Messmer. I'll be the Deputy Chief over Operations, and I'll be seeing you again shortly for the items on the agenda.
Very good. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Whitney McCormick, and I'm going to be the major in District 2.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Purcell. I'm going to be the major over the Criminal Investigations Division.
Well, congratulations to all four of you. Thank you so much. Councilman Carlson?
Can I just say one related but unrelated thing? Thank you to everyone who worked on the investigation around MacDill Air Force Base. That was Chief Perkall and I were talking about on the way up, but the community is very appreciative of everything you all do. But that was particularly scary for the hardworking men and women who are trying to protect us all around the world. And so I want to thank you all for helping with that. And I have friends and family going in that gate every day, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Picture time. Hey, Sebastian. In my office, I have an office book. I had to take my son to St. Joe's this morning to get a bullet hunter. So I had to wake up at 5 o'clock this morning. If you know me, I'm not a morning person. Yeah, 5 o'clock is way too early. I had to take my son to St. Joe's to get a colonoscopy. First one he's ever had to do, and he's at that age now.
Did you bring him back too?
Yeah.
Did you bring him back too?
No, I dropped him off, and then his I don't know, his illegal wife, or they live together, they're not married, but was going to pick him up. Yeah, was going to pick him up. His partner in crime. She's a lovely person. Miranda, you going up there? Charlie, you're next. Okay. We're gonna start without you. A lot of people. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Be sure. Thanks. The little cream. I don't need any sugar because I'm sweet enough.
Bring it on over. Everybody behind me.
Well, I mean, sometimes I do. There's Barney's has a white Christmas that is it's got like a little coconut, a little white chocolate flavor. Yeah, it's really good. We're taking a little strategic pause, waiting for Charlie to come in.
Charlie can get on the podium here.
There he is.
There's room over here.
They're all down there
Is that it?
They're waiting for you.
Ray?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, thank you for your patience. Can we click that door closed so we get quiet? I'd like to recognize Councilman Miranda.
Not quite.
Not quite?
Not quite.
It's my pleasure, council members, to be here today on a occasion where you finance and refinance and do the stuff that we take for granted. But these are the people that do the work that keep the city running financially, mentally, and without them, you know what? We wouldn't be the city we are today. But the Revenue and Finance Committee and Accounting Office have done many, many things. And when you read these things, you think they come by every year just because you're in the Revenue and Finance Division, or you have to earn it. Am I correct?
Yes.
And who earned it this year?
We did.
I'm so happy you said that because it was from you. But thank you for that. And I'll just read part of this. It's a pleasure that the Tampa City Council presents a commendation to you in recognition of receiving the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financing Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States of America and even Canada. So we might have a new president in Canada. But anyway, this certificate of achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of government accounting and financial reporting. And this is not given away every year coincidentally. It's got to be given by them who say that you have done everything according to the rules and regulation of which you are governed by in accounting. So with that, who am I going to present to?
Ms. McCarter?
Oh, Ms. McCarter, as I understand, a little bird came to see me the other day and told me that you were responsible, one of the leaders in doing this for this year's achievement in many years in the past. Am I correct?
Correct.
I'm so happy to say that she said correct, because usually if I would have said that, they'd say, well, he just BS it would be. I don't mean Barbara Streisand. But what he's trying to say is that she's humble enough not to recognize herself every year. So we're doing it for her because she's done the yeoman jobs of making sure that this department keeps running, not fast, equally as intelligent, and accounting all the certificates of requirements that the accounting offices do that give this award away every year. So this is the 37th year. That's almost my age. And it's not given just because you're the city of Tampa. It's given because individuals like all of these behind me have had some input in making sure that this city is always running on time, always running financially, physically, and has the reporting record that is needed to be recognized. So we want to thank you and your whole department for what you've done and what you all continue to do. Each and every one of you are very valuable to all the taxpayers in the city of Tampa. Muchísimas gracias de mi corazón. That means from my heart, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now you can say something.
I do want to thank all of Revenue and Finance. It wasn't just me, but it was the whole effort of the team. And plus, we do have one who is absent, my manager, my accounting financial officer, Sabrina McAdoo. She has also played a great role in making sure that we get this award every year. And thank you, Mr. Perry, for helping us along the way, and everybody else, and everyone who isn't present as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, on behalf of Tampa City Council, thank you very much. Those of you that have been with the city for more than 10 years, you know the job today is at least 10 times more difficult than it was. The city is rapidly expanding. Our budgets are expanding. The complexity of our finances has expanded. So what you all do is just outstanding. I mean, to be able to manage the tremendous growth and the number of changes that have occurred in the city and do it so well and then be recognized for that achievement is quite remarkable. So on behalf of Tampa City Council, we want to thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Charlie, you're up for the next one too, though. Okay. We'll take a little pause for a second. Actually, I think we could probably kick this off as, yeah, is the consultant here to do the presentation, or Mr. Perry, are you gonna kick it off?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect.
2, 3.
Hey, Louis, you want to tell Charlie he doesn't have to hurry, because we're gonna go ahead and start the presentation without him, so he doesn't have to worry about hurrying. Yeah, tell him he can take his time, because we're gonna start with that. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Start with your name.
1 minute, please. I lost my script.
Uh-oh, you need one of
Good
these?
morning. No, I'm fine. Good morning, Mike Perry, Revenue and Finance, and thank you for taking the time to recognize the accounting office. They do a tremendous amount of work. 10 million transactions a month that they have to do it properly. Anyhow, I'm going to introduce the water and wastewater capacity fee study. The last time we presented to council was back in 2000, and during that 2000 presentation, council took the following actions. One, they, for the first time, approved a water capacity fee. They decreased the wastewater capacity fee, and they set a affordable housing capacity fee of 0, which means any house or structure that is being designated as affordable housing is not charged a capacity fee. And finally, they also established a standard that we review these fees every 5 years. And so this is the first review of the 5-year study. We've asked Reftelis to go ahead and conduct this study. They conducted the study. And we've briefed most of the council members on this previously. We also went out to the development community and briefed them to obtain their ideas and suggestions. One of the areas I want to point out, and Mr. Hamilton will point it out, is while we're requesting council to adopt the water and wastewater capacity fee ordinance at the next meeting, the new fees will not go into effect until next year. We do that to allow the development community to adapt and incorporate the new fees within their rate structure as they go ahead and price out, as they go ahead and do their pricing. I'll be followed, I'll introduce Mr. Murray Hamilton from Reftelis, and then Brad Barrow will wrap it up. So unless you have any questions of me, Mr. Hamilton will go ahead and come on up. Please bring the presentation up, please.
There you go. Start with your name, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Members of the City Council, again, for the record, my name is Murray Hamilton with Reftelis. We're a utility rate and financial management consulting firm with our Florida office just north of Orlando in Maitland, Florida. As Mr. Perry pointed out, let's see here, we did complete a water and wastewater capacity fee study. Quite frankly, the These types of studies, both for water and wastewater systems as well as municipal impact fees, are probably one of the most common types of studies that our firm has been conducting lately here statewide. Many of our local communities are struggling with the difficulty of ensuring that new development pays its own share in its own way. And so the City of Tampa is not alone in this pursuit. In today's presentation, we've got a number of topics that we'd like to discuss with you. First and foremost, the purpose and background, part of which Mr. Perry provided you just a moment ago. We're going to discuss our impact fee criteria. And when I think about the water and wastewater capacity fees, we're really referencing here the calculation of the charges, the manner in which the city implements that program, and the accountability of the sources and uses of those funds. So these are restricted revenue sources to the water and wastewater system, and they have to be used for selected purposes. We'll touch on our cost methodology and our approach to the study in general, and then we'll review our existing and proposed implementation schedules. By way of background, as I think Mr. Perry pointed out, the last study was completed in fiscal year 2020. At that time, the City Council did include within that ordinance a requirement to review these fee levels at least every 5 years. That's what necessitated this specific project. During that last study, the City Council found that it was appropriate to reduce the wastewater fee, and then we implemented a new fee for the water system for the very first time. The water fee, again, because it was implemented for the first time, was phased in over a 3-year period. We very specifically prepared a treatment level cost. This is for water supply and treatment that's applied system-wide, citywide, system-wide. At the time, and even today, the city does already have 2 existing SEAC service areas where we were already collecting a transmission fee. That relates to the downtown South Tampa and the northeast area sub-area, those SEAC service locations. So as it comes to our transmission capacity fee, we basically calculated a charge for all the remaining service areas of the city, the non-SEAC locations. The reasons for the capacity fees is to ensure that new development that create demands upon the system pay their proportionate share of those costs. As we talk about new development within the city, I do want to point out that it does include redevelopment within the community. A property owner always gets credit for the amount of capacity that they've previously reserved. So if it's a single-family home and it becomes a new single-family home, there's typically not a new charge that's due. They got credit for that improvement. But if we turn a single-family home into a triplex or a quad where obviously there's an increased demand on the system, an incremental charge may have to be collected. Again, that's something that the utility system works through with those developers. The fees are used to pay for growth-related facilities and major equipment, and when these programs are put in place, they help avoid having growth-related improvements affect existing customers. Again, I don't think it hurts to highlight what Mr. Perry said a few moments ago. Unique to the City of Tampa, the City Council has exempted qualified affordable housing projects from paying these charges. Later on in this presentation, we're going to share with you a regional comparison of other types of capacity fees related to the water and wastewater system. I think it's helpful to touch on some of the reasons why the charges differ. I would suggest probably the main difference the charges differ is the frequency and timeliness of how local governments tend to update these charges. Again, unique to the City of Tampa, you elected to adopt an ordinance that actually requires an update every 5 years. Not all city governments do that. Certainly sources of supply, type of treatment, that influences the types of costs that your utility system invests in, of access and availability of grants, both historical as well as future grants that are available to fund these facilities. The life cycle of the community, whether the community is actively expanding or if it's fairly mature and built out. And then certainly the age and the size and the density of a utility system heavily affects the cost structure of these types of charges. As it relates to our impact fee criteria, first and foremost, our team is looking to be both fair and equitable. We accomplish this by establishing a link between the cost of capacity and the amount of demand that each new customer places on the utility system. The demands are measured based on adopted level of service standards that the city puts in place. This is the gallons per day per capita, or gallons per day per unit, if you want to think of it in that capacity. The fees cannot be used to fund capital deficiencies within the system, so we can't use it to fund renewal and replacement identified within the capital improvement program, and we certainly cannot use these revenue sources to fund operating expenses. The city is required to maintain separate accountability and sets these monies aside in restricted accounts. They are a pledged revenue, I'll point out, and they do support the city's water and wastewater system in the repayment of the city's bonds. Lastly, these fees are typically adopted by ordinance. In our cost methodology and fee structure, these types of charges recover what I like to refer to as the system costs. This is the water supply treatment level, the wastewater treatment and disposal, and the backbone transmission. These are the level of investments that the city funds where all customers generally benefit, both existing and future. Some of the types of costs that are excluded from the fee relate to local and on-site water distribution and collection facilities. It's not uncommon in the state of Florida that when a new development comes into a community, that oftentimes those local infrastructure costs are constructed and paid for by the developer to serve the developer's project solely. And so as you would imagine, those costs are excluded from our fee because they're taking on that burden themselves. In addition, we make adjustments for grant-funded projects, and we also exclude minor equipment and vehicles. So what's included in the proposed fees? We include the system-level costs of existing assets that have available capacity to serve new growth, plus any planned capacity additions. As it relates to your water and wastewater system, the capital improvement element is heavily focused on capital renewal and replacement, specifically to fund the pipes program that the City Commission approved several years ago. So within the wastewater system, that's largely capital maintenance, and those costs were excluded from our proposed fees. As we'll talk about a little bit later on in this presentation, for the water system, there was a portion of the costs that were identified to be system-level upgrades as well as expansion, and you'll see that a portion of those improvements were included in our fee calculations. The fee formula is quite simple. There's really just three components: the capital costs in dollars, the capacity at the related facilities, again, gallons per day of capacity, and then the level of service standards, gallons per day per capita. Up to this point in time, the city has invested approximately $3 billion, that's billion with a B, in gross water and wastewater facilities, of which almost 60% reach that system level cost that are associated with that treatment and transmission level capacity. In calculating our proposed fees, we did reduce the cost by more than $170 million in historical grants that were received by the city. And talking with Mr. Baird, he informed us that most of those grants were received by the Environmental Protection Agency in support of the city's 4th wastewater improvement program. In calculating the city's transmission impact fee, as you may recall, we've got 3 benefit zones. We've got the 2 existing SEAC service areas, and I'll point out that those transmission charges within the SEAC service locations are not proposed to change. Thirdly, our 3rd benefit zone are the remaining service areas within the city, the non-SEAC locations. And again, specifically, we calculated a capacity fee related to those costs. You'll see that later on in our implementation schedules. As it relates to the utility system capital improvement program, total estimates are $1.8 billion of proposed funding over the next 5 years. Again, for the wastewater system, it's largely capital maintenance, and those costs are excluded from the fees. And then in identifying the water system projects and working with the city's engineers, we were able to include just under $80 million of water improvements within the calculated fee structure. So, Mr. Chair, on the next several slides, this is where we get into our fee components. As it relates to the water system, again, we have our benefit areas, and so we address the costs in each one of the various fee components, both treatment and transmission related, and that's what you're seeing here on slide 10. What I would also like to point out is that the Florida legislature has placed limitations on the way and the manner in which local government can update and increase certain types of impact fees. In talking with city staff, we've elected to apply those restrictions here to the water and wastewater capacity fees, and so what you're going to see on the next several slides is a maximum charge that's allowed by Florida statute as it relates to these types of fees, and a required 4-year phase-in schedule. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. As it relates to the water system, at the top of this slide, we have the system-wide treatment costs. Again, this is applied service area-wide. We've got a current fee of $1,000 and $1,020 per equivalent residential unit. If you want to think of that as a single-family home, that would be appropriate. But these charges also apply to commercial developments. The calculated cost is $1,837, and the statutory maximum would be limited in that right-hand column to $1,530. And as you'll see on the subsequent slide, there's a 4-year required phase-in requirement that would not start until March 1st of 2027. So again, a strategy here where city staff wants to be able to provide developers adequate notice. In the bottom of the slide, we've got the transmission system costs by benefit area. Again, the first two areas are the SEAC service locations, which really comprise about 60% of the development within the city service area. And you can see that those SEAC charges are not changing, while the last line of this particular slide are the other service locations, the non-SEAC areas, and you can see we have a recommended charge of $985, all of which would be phased in over a 4-year implementation schedule as shown here on slide 11. Again, very simply, slide 11, what we tried to provide here is the individual components of the fee at the top and middle of this slide, and then as bolded at the bottom of the slide, we tried to add up the fees. That's typically how these charges are collected, again, expressed on a per residential unit basis. Our next slide moves us into the wastewater calculation. These charges are collected as a single fee on a system-wide basis, and so therefore we're going to talk about the fee components collectively. We've got a current charge of $1,237 per equivalent unit. We've got a calculated cost of $1,847, and because the calculated cost is just slightly less than the maximum charge, we're recommending that the City Council consider approving our calculated fee. Again, consistent with the water system, we have a 4-year phase-in requirement, and you can see that outlined for the City Council again on slide 13. To provide a 30,000-foot view of our proposed recommendations, we've tried to summarize that information for you on slide 14. I would like to highlight here that the proposed fees at the bottom of this particular slide are more than 4 years into the future. So these would be the calculated fees that would be implemented on or after March 1st of 2030, fiscal year 30. And we did attempt, I know it's a little busy and probably a little bit small on this particular screen, we tried to provide a regional comparison as it relates to the city of Tampa and how your water and wastewater capacity fees compare to neighboring utilities. The chart's a little bit busy. Again, we have those 3 benefit service areas. You can see today that on average, most of your current charges are either at the average of your neighboring utilities or slightly under. And certainly over this 4-year implementation period, again, that's why this isn't necessarily fairly presented here. These are the proposed charges 4 years from now. Mr. Chair, I do recall that in earlier briefings you had a few questions about the city of Orlando, the city of Fort Myers, and the city of Fort Lauderdale. Again, as highlighted in this particular chart, the survey average is roughly $5,000 per equivalent connection. I can tell you, Mr. Chair, that the city of Orlando is collecting a charge of approximately $4,900, so just slightly less than average. City of Fort Myers is calculating a charge of $6,700 roughly per unit, so they're slightly above the average. Now the City of Fort Lauderdale, I believe, is calculating a charge just under $4,000 per equivalent unit. but I could not identify when the most recent study was concluded. In summarizing our conclusions and recommendations, we find that the existing water and wastewater capacity fees are not adequate to recover the existing and planned investments in order to provide adequate capacity to serve the needs of new development. We believe that the City Council should consider adopting our proposed fees. They would be set to not exceed the maximum statutory requirement and would be phased in over a 4-year implementation period. It's been the advice of city staff to provide an extended noticing period before the proposed fees would be implemented. And if approved by the City Council, those charges would become effective beginning on and after March 1st of 2027. Again, a 4-year implementation schedule. And if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'd like to invite Mr. Baird to come, and I will stand by for questions and any comments that the council may have, but I'd like to introduce Mr. Baird.
Thank you. Good presentation. Mr. Baird.
Thank you, Murray. Brad Baird, Deputy Administrator of Infrastructure. So in summary, this is development paying its own way for treatment and transmission facilities and the capacity associated with those facilities. As Mr. Hamilton talked about, we came to the conclusion after feedback from the development community to phase this in over 4 years and beginning March 1st of 2027. So the feedback from the development community was the study was very well done, very thorough, and we appreciate the time that you're giving us to include these in our costs. And with that, I'll pause and see if we have any questions.
I think we do. Thank you, Mr. Baird. I saw Councilman Vera, your mic was on, but I think that was a leftover. Okay. So Councilwoman Hurtek, followed by Councilman Carlson.
Yes. If you could go back to slide 10.
Murray?
Yes.
Where are you?
If we could have the presentation, please. And you said slide 10?
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I want to say thank you for this. This is a great study. I'm very glad that the council in 2020 set this to be every 5 years, because this is the kind of thing we need to do to make sure that we are getting what we need to handle the infrastructure, which is so important. But I really, and I want everybody to look at that first line where the calculated cost is $1,800 and the max we're going to get is $1,500, which basically means who's going to pay that extra overage?
Yes, understood. Yes, sir. Councilwoman, the Florida legislature here in recent years, within the last 3 years, put in place these maximums as it relates to implementation of impact fees, and capacities fall in line with that scope. So I can't provide a lot of insight to it. I can tell you that ultimately, to the extent that those types of projects are approved, it would fall onto the ratepayers.
Okay, so that's basic. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear, and that's what I want the public to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that because unfortunately, when we do this in 5 more years' time, the chances of these costs going up will be there. And as we go, we will be further and further behind, and the ratepayers who already live here, who already put money into this, will be forced to continue to do so. And again, I really appreciate that you were doing this every 5 years. And I think it's fair, and I think the development community appreciates when it's in every 5 years, so that we're not putting a bunch of money on them all at once. I really do appreciate the 4-year phase-in. I think that's wonderful, but I am concerned. So I would recommend that if the public is concerned, they reach out to both their House and Senate leaders and let them know that this is harming our communities. Again, your study is phenomenal. It's so very clear. The presentation was wonderful. I just worry about what this does for us in the long run, because this is going to make our rates have to increase for the average ratepayer. And that is my concern. It has nothing to do with you, but I just wanted to make sure that people understood that that is why we can't charge the $1,800. So thank you so much for this, and I, again, really do appreciate it. And in every area where we can put these 5-year studies, I think it helps both the residents and the development community, but it also highlights what we need our state representatives to do for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Carlson.
And I agree with that. So please contact your legislators. As Brad said, the public has told us loud and clear that they want development to pay for itself. If new buildings or houses are going to be built, they want the cost of that to be shared. And you just talked about the limitations of that. I wonder though, can you tell the public what this will save in terms of the ratepayer fee? So if in your projections, I'm just trying to talk about the benefit to the public, so the regular rate paying public. So if we don't implement this, how much more are they going to have to pay in their rate? And then how much will this save the average person?
Yes, Councilman. If the proposed fees are implemented by year 4, they would generate about $1.5 to $2 million a year in additional revenues for the water and wastewater system, which in part would go to help support the capital improvement program and to fund the existing bonds that have already been issued. And we anticipate that in future years, we're going to have to continue to issue some additional bonds based on what we've identified.
So you're just talking about year 4, so $1.5 million. How much, if we did not have this, how much would we have to increase?
In a practical sense, it's very immaterial for your system. Your annual revenues are over $300 million a year. This is more of form over substance as it relates to your utility system.
But if we were just trying to hit the numbers exactly, how many more dollars a month would we have to raise?
It would be very negligible.
Maybe $1 a month, or
maybe. Probably less. Again, you have a very robust water and wastewater system, AAA rating, strong fiscal position. I don't think that position hangs on the City Council's decision as it relates to these fees. Again, I think it's a matter of practice and form to be able to communicate to our utility customers that we are holding new development accountable and that they're paying their proportionate share. But I don't want to overstate the equation that if we don't do something, that there's an unexpected rate consequence.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Councilman Miranda.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you and your company for telling us. I've been in water since 1998, on and off the mayors. I'm not a mayor, but they always pointed me to Tampa Bay Water along with Brad Baird and others. And your rate certainly is acceptable because it's not overbearing. However, that being said, I remember when our budget just to repair pipes underground in the city of Tampa was $30 to $35 million a year. A pipe would break today, and the same pipe you fix it, 2 days later would break at the other end, the same pipe. So we had to go do something. That's when the pipes program started at $2 a month on wastewater and water. And you see that on your billing. They say it's a water bill. No, it's a bill of many other things. But water is included in it. It's just $2 and $2. Now every year or so we raise it by $1. And if I remember now, it's at $8 and $8 because the pipe program continues to go for 22 years when it started from then to now. However, we are looking at, because of the cost installation going in, pipe program is not bonded, it's paying on a cash basis. That program sooner or later is going to run out of money because the axis of cost and the axis of collection are not meeting up to each other. So sooner or later there'll be an adjustment made or something else. Bonding, maybe not, maybe we can do something else to go away from the bonding thing and save a little money. However, do you really save money? If you bond something for 30 years, you know exactly what your payments are going to be and what your income is. When you do it our way, you know what your money collection is, but you don't know what the payment is because of the cost installation. So if you do that, what is the cost of material in year 1 versus in year 30 or 32, whatever it takes? So that's never included in the cost, which should be, I'm sure you do that mathematically, and you know what the real cost is at the end. because of bonding. Yes, you pay more, but you also get quicker and better results because it goes project A to project B on a straight line, not up and down. But thank you for what you do, and this is coming every 5 years, and we certainly appreciate your company. And like I said earlier, from all the discussions I've heard of different companies, your company, I've never heard something negative.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, thank you again. I think that was an outstanding report, probably one of the better reports I've seen. So very well done, very comprehensive, and I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
General reminder that item 23 is first reading for this, and we will come back and be present for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, we are now moving on to public comment. Mr. Shelby.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, City Council, members of the public. Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney, here to talk briefly about the rules of decorum and public comment for today's meeting. Members of the public are allowed a reasonable opportunity to address any item on the agenda of the City Council before official action is taken. Now, you will have had the opportunity to speak at general public comment by filling out a speaker card and placing it in the box outside the chambers, 1 card per speaker. Each person submitting a card will be recognized by name to approach and speak. Please note, per City Council rules, preference is given to those who want to speak on agenda items first. A 3-minute time limit applies to all speakers. Please print legibly. Names that cannot be read will not be called. Now, if you're here to speak at items set for public hearing, and I don't have that right in front of me. Let's see what numbers those are.
I don't have anybody with the card on for that yet, so we're good.
Okay, but just if you're here to speak on items that are set for public hearing on the agenda, those items will be called up individually when we approach on the agenda, and
19 through 31, or 21.
19 through 21. If you're here on items 19 through 21, you don't have to fill out a card, but there is a sign-in sheet outside, and just please place your name and the item number for the public hearing on the agenda. Now, speakers and members of the public are also reminded that please refrain from disruptive behavior, including making vulgar or threatening remarks, or making or causing disruptive noises or sounds, or displaying signs or graphics. And direct your comments to the entire City Council, please, rather than to individual members. The chair will rule out of order any person who speaks without being recognized or attempts to address the council from outside the speaker area at the podium. Persons failing to comply with council rules may also be ruled out of order and, at the discretion of the chair, may be removed from the chambers for the remainder of today's meeting. If you're here to speak on items set for public hearing, as I said, fill out the sign your name on the sign-in sheet. And finally, City Council members should refrain from engaging a speaker under public comment, and the public should be aware that City Council does not take questions or have a dialogue during general public comment. This is your opportunity to express your position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelby. We have a relatively short agenda today, so I'm going to try to get us out by lunch, which may be maybe a little bit delayed to lunch, but I'm going to try to do that. In order for that to happen, we need to make sure we abbreviate our comments, and we really push through and don't waste a lot of time. For those of you that are here to speak to the public, of course you get your full 3 minutes, but if you're able, you don't have to use your full 3 minutes, and you're welcome to, if you agree with something somebody said, you can just say, hey, I agree with everything such and such said, and hey, we have 2 ears, we can hear all of that, so you don't necessarily have to use it all. So here we go. I have 2 online speakers. We're going to hit them last this week. We got them first last week, so today we're going to do last, and we're going to move to our in-person folks. On Zion Cemetery, item number 16, Geraldine Williams, followed by Reva Iman, I think. Geraldine, are you here?
Good morning. As a member of the Zion Cemetery,
Start with your name, please.
Oh, my name is Geraldine with a J, Williams.
Thank you.
And I'm a member of the Zion Cemetery Maintenance and Preservation Board. And as a member of that board, I am before you to say thank you on behalf of my great-great-grandmother, whose remains were interred at Zion Cemetery in 1912. and she and the approximately another 799 souls are there, and we are pleased that action is being taken so that we can look forward in their behalf to their resting in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. Reva, followed by Daryl Hitch.
Good morning. My name is Reba Iman. As a former resident of Robles Park Village, as well as a citizen of this Hillsborough County, I'm also the vice chair of that board Ms. Geraldine just spoke about. I appreciate each and every last one of you, those throughout the city who have taken the time and effort as at this point with what has happened and what is going to happen and what the future may be. As the vice chair, I'm also asking, we need $8 million to complete Zion Cemetery. Not just a cemetery, it's a memorial. This is something that the city will forever be grateful for. This city of Tampa holds a great deal that other states, cities see that's going on here, and it's the preamble of something that Tampa is great. We also plan to put a genealogy center there. So those who visit the city of Tampa, those in the city of Tampa, and those who surrounding yourself have the opportunity to come and look up your family heritages, who you may not know, but have the opportunity to learn. So it's just not a memorial, it's educational, and it's good for everyone that wants to know their background and their family history. So as the vice chair, and I know that you are doing great things and great things will come, I just want to leave with you, $8 million will help us complete what we want to do for the city of Tampa, not just for Zion, because this is history in the making, and you will be history in the making because all these other cities now that are finding these cemeteries is built, we are the leading city that everyone is looking at. We are the leading city, and we take lead on a great deal of different things here in the city of Tampa, and I'd like you to complete that by helping us complete what we are trying to do at Zion for $8 million to complete it. It's not only for the community, it's for anyone that has stake, that has any family out there who wants to do that history, that they can come to the genealogy center and do the research. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Daryl, followed by Pam Canella.
Good morning, City Council. Daryl Hitch. Item number 22, the Veterans Advisory Committee Board. I am asking that the city, that you guys consider the fact that the city of Tampa and the state of Florida is full of veterans, and there should really be no reason for this committee not to be saturated with veterans. Nearly 100% veterans it should be. I can understand you may have some Gold Star family members who may want to participate in it, but I highly encourage you to make this board with veterans. With that being said, as I was driving over here this morning, I was thinking about this term, Make America Great. And I thought about this and I said to myself, America is great. America is great because I wouldn't have never served 28 years in the United States Navy if I didn't think America was great. We wouldn't also have, sitting on the dais as the youngest and one of the only African-American personnel in the city government, Ms. Naya Young, if America wasn't great. We also would not have had the only black American president, Barack Obama, if America wasn't great. The only other persons and the only people who would think America is not great would be weak men and women who believe that they're losing their footing in society. And so because of that, they say, make America great again. But I'm reminded of the fact that America is great. America is a place that everyone look up on and say, I want to get here. I've never seen anybody cross the borders to go over to any other country and risk their lives if America wasn't great. So my only question and concern that I keep thinking about with local government and all the state legislatures and things that are coming down, why have no one decided to challenge the systems on this local DEI situation? Why has no one took a legal position and stood 10 toes down and said, hey, you know what, we're not going for this in the city of Tampa? Why have no one in city government or in the legal system said, you know what, I'm going to stand in the gap for resolution number 568 because I believe in that? Why have no one decided to say, you know what, I'm going to lay it all on the line for these purposes? And the only other answer I can come up with is because it's not my monkey, it's not my zoo. It does not affect me. It does not affect the way I live, walk, breathe, talk, think, do things. It does not affect me. So because of that, there's no reason for me to put myself in the fight. Because every day I wake up and I look in the mirror, I see an African-American black man standing 10 toes down, fighting these systems by myself. Where is the legal systems at? We should be challenging all these things instead of sitting and watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Pam, no. No applause. No clipping fingers either. Pam, followed by David Moss Cornell. Feeling better? You're walking better.
I feel better. I feel good.
Okay, good.
It's not going to keep me down. Sorry.
Oh, look at that ugly man.
Second the motion.
I didn't hear that. Tell me again. Okay. My name is Pam Canella. 2 months to hurricane season. Tampa is not prepared. Again, our existing stormwater system has been neglected for new projects, events, and barricades, and no contracted help for in-house crew to catch up. Again, they need funding. Someone needs to look into the budget money for contracted help for this cleaning and maintenance. The city will be held accountable this time if there is another repeat of 2024 flooding. This administration has shown a willful disregard for state and local mandated maintenance standards of our infrastructure. These safety obligations, when ignored, put the public safety at risk. I just want to show where it says here, where we have contractors, but we don't. The City of Tampa's Post has a misrepresentation of the truth. Stormwater cleaning is not getting done. There are no contractors to clean the stormwater pipes. No contractors doing cave-in repairs. When I ask why, I'm told no funding. And I'm still waiting for the trash to be removed from the AMI Hospital Pond, the Zom Pond, and the Swan Pond. Okay, that's still there. Mobility flyers in our mobility website, City Tampa, there it is right there, has a solution. The solution is add additional street sweepers. With additional street sweepers, we could increase productivity with additional personnel. Then it goes on to say the answers. This department aims to enhance and support a high standard of living for the residents of Tampa by offering a thorough, responsive, environmental, safe, efficient, cost-effective stormwater maintenance program. Well, I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm still waiting. To elevate the quality of service by improving the overall performance of stormwater maintenance. Okay, old saying, action speaks louder than words. I want to see it done. To enhance the city's reputation by establishing benchmarks for infrastructure, ditch, and return. We know when it's done. The residents know when it's done. We don't need surveys or reports. Okay, here's the best part. To achieve this goal, we would need additional funding through budgeting. That's the best one. Or here it comes. Raising the stormwater assessment fee.
Thank you, Pam.
That's not an option. Thank you.
David, followed by Citra.
I'm sorry, I'm slow.
Good morning, David. Start with your name, please.
Good morning. My name is David Moss Cornell. I am the founder and secretary of the Highland Pines Committee on Homelessness. Last week, you had the pleasure of meeting our president in training, Raymond Johnson. He is my voice when we shall go to the NAACP, of which I am a lifetime member for 10 years. He will be my voice, and he is an African American. We belong to District 5. We, the people, the citizens, and the Constitution of these United States of America, we fall under the First Amendment, and so do the homeless. We have laws in these United States of America and laws in the Constitution of the state of Florida. Should any homeless person violate them, they should be justly locked up or dispersed. That is the law of these states of Florida and probably the state of the United States of America too. The Constitution is not that much different. Now, our committee had a conversation about First Amendment right, freedom of assembly. At 7401 East Broadway Avenue in Tampa, Florida 33619, there's a mobile gas station, a public piece of property to the right of it. Now, there is where some homeless gather. Next to it, there's a fire hydrant. The fire hydrant is not centrally located in the center of the mobile gas station. But this would be a great place for the homeless to gather as an experiment, Monday through Friday. And hence I ask, one moment please. I ask that this be brought before the agenda. I request that this committee have a place in Highland Pines as an experiment, Monday through Friday, on public land at capacity 15 homeless individuals, where a sign is posted up there. And so that if they break the law there, they should leave and be dispersed. But if they're there according to the laws of the state of Florida and the United States of America, then they have every right to take care of business. And that is my request to be put on the agenda before this honorable council. You have a good day and happy Easter.
Thank you, David. Citro, followed by Ashley Moreau.
Joseph Citro, 33611 for the record. Good morning, council. My grandfather used to say to me, if we can send a man to the moon, how come we can't fill in the blank? Fast forward 50 years later, we got Artemis 2 circling our planet. If we can send a man and a woman to the moon, how come we can't have better transportation? I was at the Citizens Advisory Committee for the Transportation Planning Organization last night, and before you is going to come a proposal for a tri-county MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization. And it was laid out in front of us on how this was going to be structured. The city of Tampa is the epicenter, the hub for transportation, land, sea, and air. This new Tri-County MPO is going to bring in major funding for the Tampa Bay area. I urge you to check out how the structure will be set up so that the city of Tampa will get its just rewards. And to also make sure that our transportation needs are taken care of. Our population doubles every day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. People come into our city from for East Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Polk, Hernando, Sarasota, for work, the arts, sporting events, cruise lines, importing, exporting. And with this Tri-County MPO, they're going to want to build more roads to get into our city. That will help them get into our city. But the surrounding neighborhoods, the surrounding residents are going to be more affected by this road building than helping the people getting into our city. Let's fast forward to West Tampa. I was at a neighborhood association meeting where they were expressing their concerns about the possibility of a new stadium. The Rays want it. The governor wants it. Hillsborough County Commissioners want it, and we still have a person on this council that's saying it's a done deal. The conversation needs to start now, council members, on transportation in and around Dale Mabry and Tampa Bay Boulevard. And the first three organizations that I would call on would be the Tampa Police Department, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and the Highway Patrol, just to see how we can move cars in and out of that area. Hopefully you three that are on the TPO will recommend rail. Thank you.
Ashley Moreau, followed by Carol Ann Bennett.
Hello, my name is Ashley Morrow, and I'll be sharing Tampa's Black history. In the 1870s, as Tampa was still developing, Black families were building lives on the edges of town. They were homesteading land, they were forming a community, they were organizing. Tampa even had a Black militia, as I've shared with you before. But outside of Tampa, that same level of stability did not always exist. In 1877, just north of here in Hernando County, a Black man by the name of Dave James married a white woman, Miss Day. And that one act, marriage, set off an entire chain of events. The newspaper, hello, come on. The newspaper picked it up. And during this time, newspapers had power. They were read cover to cover, and they didn't just inform, they signaled. This is what happened. Now pay attention to the names on the screen because they'll see them again. Remember those names. Because according to the newspaper, these men went to Dave James' home and they were fired upon. A shootout followed. Several of the men, Saxon, Rhodes, McIntosh, were wounded. And then we're told that the very next day, Dave James contacted the judge, who was one of the people that went to the home. He contacted them and asked them to come to the house so he can apologize for firing on them first. This is what the newspaper reported. Now, why would he do that? Or is that version of the story that made it to the print because that was the story that they needed as a mob in approaching this man's home to protect this white woman? But the story doesn't end there because a young Black woman named Mary James, the report by Mary R. Tanner, she comes to Tampa and writes an affidavit. And on the affidavit, she explains that she was actually with this man named Arthur St. Clair. And why Arthur St. Clair is important is because he was the one that married the Black man to the white woman. And they end up escorting the white man and the Black man and the white woman out of Brooksville, but that somebody had to pay because F.E. Saxon was Walter Saxon's brother. And we talked about who the Saxon family was, the starters of the Ku Klux Klan in Central Florida. So somebody had to pay. And next week I'm going to talk about Mary R. Tanner's story when she came to Tampa and then to Key West and reported on the incident. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. We always enjoy your presentation. Carol Ann Bennett, followed by Tiffany Poole.
Hi, my name is Carol Ann Bennett. I'm here to talk to you. Last week, sidewalks came up. There was a proposal to close the loophole so that if there's no sidewalks nearby, it's not an exemption. So I want to explain to you how we got to where we are today, particularly in relationship to Colbert Bayou. In 2020, Sidewalk Stompers and Walk Bike Tampa presented a wonderful presentation to City Council, and wanted the code changed to eliminate the loophole of if there's no sidewalks. They wanted to delete it. And they said because right now we have full city blocks with no sidewalks, even though every residence has been rebuilt. So in 2021, they did amend the sidewalk code, but the staff said we can't eliminate that loophole. We need some flexibility for the rare occasions, for neighborhoods like Culberth Bayou, quite frankly. But they assured us that it was going to be used very, very rarely, and that it would not be used within a half mile, no exemptions within a half mile of school, something that's been stated to you all. They also put in there as a caveat, if there's no additional development nearby. Well, there's no official legal interpretation of no additional development nearby, which gives the city the leeway to interpret it very, very liberally. So you can interpret that according to your goal. Is your goal more sidewalks or is your goal less sidewalks? Well, obviously, this is the active permits in the city. If you want more sidewalks, you would say there's nowhere in the city where there's no additional development nearby, so no one should be able to use that loophole. If your goal is if your goal is to have more sidewalks. So it was quite the surprise to myself and other people when we found out that the city was interpreting it in such a way that the loophole for no sidewalks and no additional development nearby was being used more often than every other loophole combined. About 2/3 of the time, that was the loophole that was being presented. They went so far as to say people who had sidewalks on their site plan could take them off. And so when I asked about it, they said, we say, are there active building permits in the area? Another very subjective thing. And it was simultaneously. Simultaneously is not long-term, it is short-term. But the biggest problem came when they didn't even interpret it. There were sidewalks nearby. These had sidewalks, and yet they approved the loophole. Here's my favorite. Sidewalk on both sides, and yet they approved the loophole. They're not even enforcing it when it doesn't qualify. So if they can't be entrusted to enforce it properly, and if they can't interpret it to get more sidewalks, that's why we are where we are today.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm sorry, Carolyn. Y'all sit next to each other every time. I'm going to confuse you every once in a while.
There's a difference, though.
I don't know which one got insulted.
I didn't say that. You said it. You're the one that put your foot in the fire.
Yeah, Tiffany, followed by Stephen Michelini.
Hi, Council.
Good morning.
Good morning, Council. My name, I don't know if I can zoom that up. Larger. I don't know if you can see that.
We can see it.
Oh,
And they'll bring it up on the other
Okay.
monitors and start talking. Start with
my
your
name is
please.
Tiffany Poole. I'm a mother of a minor child that is a citizen of Tampa, and we are proud citizens of Tampa. There is a problem with TPD, and my son does ride a bike. He has an e-bike. Matter of fact, he owns an Ultra B, if you know what that is. And he likes to wheelie, yes. The report is not matching. My son and his friend was, as the report say, observed. 2 African-American males was observed on Bayshore, as they say, but they stopped my baby way in District 3. So they started in District 1, then District 3, they ended up searching my children, had their hands up. 12 and 15 years old. If you can imagine that, patting them down without their mother. And the grandparent was in the house. So I have a serious problem, you guys, that I'm gonna keep marching on about if I have to stand by myself. My child is 15. He helps fix bikes, e-bikes for kids in the neighborhood. He loves to cut lawn for elderly. He assembles furniture for the elderly. He's a good kid. And for him to get, I don't want to call it attacked, but this report is not matching what the lieutenant told me over the phone, and he even know that. His name is Lieutenant Houston. He was with the District 1. However, some of the stuff did match up, but My thing is, why 8 cops? And if you can see the little strip, 8 cops on 2 children. Help me, please. Help me from not being emotionally discarded. Now I gotta take my child to counseling. I already had a talk with him years ago about you're not the same. You're not the same. And if you can understand my black skin, I'm sorry to make this racial. Because the other child was a Hispanic. He was not black at all. This report is false, and it only have 2 officers' name on here, and I have asked for body cam because this does not match. There's not 8 cops on here. And they jumped out of my child in unmarked cars on my parents' property. Didn't knock on the door. My mom was in the house. How did this happen? Y'all help me, please. But I'm going to keep on going. I'll be back down here. I thank y'all for your attention.
Sebastian or any of the legislative aides, can you come out and get Tiffany's contact information for us, please? Somebody will meet you out here to get your contact information, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
Stephen Michelini, before we're going to recognize you for speaking, I need to send you to handwriting school because there's absolutely no way in the world I could have interpreted that as Steve Michelini had.
I got it right away.
She did.
Send me to penmanship school?
Correct. That is terrible. Start with your name, please.
Steve Michelini. A couple of things have happened that I want to bring your attention to. This notice was sent out a few days ago regarding street closures on South Howard, and the council very specifically excluded the water and the pipes program from stormwater. You had a long discussion about it, and you said you weren't going to do that. What this has done is to combine the stormwater issue with the pipes program. We also had an agreement with the mobility department.
Sir, you got messages that are showing up.
There we go.
Oh, you just answered it. Now you answered it. You did. Hey, Adam. Hi, Adam. You are special.
Well, you're truthful.
You're special.
Whatever. You know, I'm not that techie, so I'm sorry. I need a couple extra seconds here. But anyway,
self-inflicted.
There was an agreement with mobility that when street closures, except for emergencies, were going to be coordinated with the businesses and the homeowners. That didn't happen. There also was a provision in there where required notice through the mobility department and the right-of-way permitting department. This didn't happen either because what happened was they piggybacked stormwater onto a pipes program. There was no notice, and they're scheduled to start this street closure this weekend. Routing traffic around. I mean, this is a big weekend for people dining. It isn't correct, and they never should have combined the pipes program with the stormwater program after the admonishment and the discussion that took place with City Council. I have one other issue, and I know this is sensitive to you, Mr. Chairman. Regardless of who the speaker is, they don't deserve to be attacked personally by city staff, which happened over the weekend. What I present to you is factually based regarding South Howard and the stormwater project. It is not conjecture. It is based on applications that have been submitted by the city and are in fact registered with the state and SwiftMud. So when an individual in the communications department attacks me and says, basically, he's paid. So, I mean, therefore, it's not valid. They're paid. The city staff is paid. Some of them are making $200,000 a year. It doesn't make their comments any less valid or mine less valid. It has to do with what are the facts. And I would appreciate an apology from communications. I don't think I'm going to get it, but I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElhaney. James Adair, followed by Robin Lockett. Mr. Adair. Good morning.
I've got a handout. So you can get that first. Okay. Go here.
As Councilman Maniscalco said, hey, start with
Hey,
me,
hey,
please.
hey, James Adair, the neighbor who cares. Let's go. Oh, wait, hold on. We gotta unmute and turn some volume up. Steve, this is how it's done, buddy.
So I recently came into some information about a large generator that's just sitting in the city of Tampa on a lot doing nothing. We bought this thing in 2020, so it's 6 years old, and we're basically paying to maintain it, and it doesn't do anything. Now, the city of Tampa bought or is purchasing additional generators just like this one that are going to go out and get deployed in the areas like that have stormwater lift stations to get the water from in the basin out to, you know, a river or whatever, so that people don't drown, basically. That's what they're going to do. A lot of money has been spent on it, but we have this one generator that's just been sitting there and hasn't been doing a thing. So I just want to kind of let you see the size and the scope of this generator. It's a monster. Okay, that's a standard picture. And then here is the purchase price, okay? And then here's kind of the proof that it's never done anything. It's never gone anywhere. You need a certain kind of truck to tow it, but a lower hook, a lower hitch than what's normally on these trucks, I guess. So like, how do you get it somewhere? It's not that hard. Somebody just needs to know, oh, we have a generator, we could do something with it. So like, it's just sitting there. Here's the vehicle inventory in CityWorks that shows that this thing exists and, you know, its size. I mean, it's a mammer jammer, it's big, all right? And then here's the service record. It's just sort of sitting there, right? It costs like $10,000, like on one repair, and then like another couple $100. So like, here's the deal. This could be outrageous, and it's sad, you know, like this thing could have been used to turn on some of the lift stations after the storms so that some of the people didn't, you know, sit in their houses for 10 days with water, be like, you know, halfway in their house. But I'd rather try to figure out how to crowdsource what can we do with it, right? I started thinking through and I started Googling, like, what can you, like, where's the lift station? Where's this, you know, a wastewater or whatever it is? And I kind of came up with some dead ends. But I know a lot of city employees watch these videos, and then I also know they watch in city council meetings. And so in your departments, right, if you're Tampa PD or if you're, emergency catastrophe department, whatever, do you have a use for this large thing that you could borrow? Because as it just sits there, it's not doing anything. It's dying, right? If it doesn't get used, it goes away. So message me. You know how to do that. For those of you guys who have you can find me. You do. You guys know how to do that. Let's figure out some ways that this thing can be used. It's probably going to end up being a backup generator for one of the brand new ones we bought anyway. But at the end of the day, it sat there for 6 years. It's never left the lot. So, I mean, I assume the wheels still work, but at the end of the day, let's find a solution. So,
Thank you,
Internet,
Mr.
do your thing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Robin Lockett, followed by Valerie Bullock. Robin? Candidate Robin Lockett.
Yes, thank you. I can't find my darn phone. Good morning, council. Robin Lockett, candidate for State House District 63. I wanted to thank you guys for working things out for Zion Cemetery. It's been a long time, and we're able to move forward. We still have a long way to go, but I'm thankful that we can at least make this first step. I have my notes. So Zion and everything that you have put in place for the Yellow Jackets, that is very important, and I'm so appreciative of that it is your full intent to make sure the Yellow Jackets are made whole. So two things I wanted to thank you guys for. Zion Cemetery, the first step has been made, so we can continue. And as we've identified, we will need money for that genealogy center. And the second thing is the Yellow Jackets, so thank you. And I'm looking for my phone.
I just tried to call your phone and went straight to voicemail.
You did?
Yeah,
I don't know where it is. I didn't leave out of here.
It's turned off because it went straight to voicemail. Valerie, followed by Carol Ann Stephanie Pointer.
Hi, Valerie Bullock from Ponce de Leon College Hill Projects. I want to talk about 19, 20, and 21. And for number 19, the new apartments or the condos, whatever they are building there, I think it's going to be like 6 3-bedrooms. And this the second reading for the zoning to be passed. But I don't get it. They already built the apartment, so why are we doing zoning now? I thought you do zoning before they start building. So maybe I'm correct. I don't know how it go, but that seems to be a little backwards to me. And the little pickup stick houses, they don't look, that's exactly what they look like. If one catch on fire, it might even burn down Middleton School. But I think we need to look into that, because I've asked several people and they said that the zoning should be done before the building. And I go over there every day and take pictures and talk to whoever's there. So if we can do stuff without zoning being approved, I might as well go on and do my deck and screen it in if I don't need approval. And on number 20, I got a problem with the resolution. When it was the first reading, I thought we read it and then read the second time, but now we got a resolution up here about Aquino Property Management. And Aquino Property Management, they have a lot of discrimination complaints against them. So I don't see how it's the city involved with the managing of the property. Why did that resolution have to go in there? That sounds like it's a little censored dictatorship to
Valerie,
me.
This one's a public hearing, so that'd be time to talk for that one.
That's to be time to talk for it.
Yeah, during
Okay,
the
I'll
public
talk
hearing.
again. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Carol Ann, I'm Stephanie. It's not gonna get old.
Oh, my.
How was your evening yesterday, Stephanie?
Yeah, I got you. Good morning, Stephanie Pointer. I've given you a speech that I made last year about Rome Yard. Go figure. Anyway, number 4 and number 23, the water capacity fees is funny because that gentleman's like, oh, it's minuscule. In the last 2 years, even if we call multifamily only 2 units, that would be $1.8 million that the city of Tampa has left on the table. Just in the last 2 years for single family and multifamily, if we call multifamily 2 units. So that's 1.8 million. That's a lot of money in my world. And how long, but anyway, the Veterans Board for number 22. I've been a spouse for almost 30 years. I am not a veteran. I know about being married to a veteran, but this board is, if it's going to be called a Veterans Board, it needs to be a Veterans Board. And as a matter of fact, my veteran at home told me yesterday, he said, any more than 8 or 9 people on a board is a waste of time because there's too many people to get anything done. And I don't like the way it's staggered either, if you read it. Number 26 through 28, the forensics lab. Neighbors are begging for sidewalks. They're begging for streets. They're begging for stormwater improvements. But yet, I mean, I went to the forensics lab. In my little crazy brain, it can't be any more than about 2,000 square feet now. And then the rest of it is all going to be warehouse. But we're going to spend $40 million on it. I don't care what anybody says that it's cheaper than that. It'll come out to 40, trust me. I need 10 minutes to talk about Rome Yard. But since I can't, I'm just going to be short and sweet. This is the original contract for the Rome Yard project. I'd like to point out, first of all, it was approved 1,436 days ago. 1,436 days. That's a long freaking time in my world. This is part of the original contract, page 22, where we are selling to related group each townhouse property for $2,500. But they can sell those properties for up to 200% AMI, which is over $200,000 a year, annually. Okay? So, but yet they're here begging you for more time. And they've already went back to the West Tampa CAC begging for more money, but yet they are sitting on their behinds and not getting anything done. How many people are still without housing because they're being lazy and not getting it done? Also, in this contract on page 26, it says they have 180 days to do all the environmental due diligence. We're at 1,436 days, folks. This contract says repeatedly that the city of Tampa can cancel it if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Why in the hell would we give them an extension? I mean, seriously. And it's in the document that I gave you, the last speech. But here's the other nifty little piece of information. They started with phase 3. Guess what? Phase 1 is where the CBA is supposed to be done. They have not done anything for the community-based agreement, which should have been done first. And you need to make them do it now, not later.
Thank you, Ms. Pointer.
Thank you.
Q, do we have both public speakers online? Okay, Michael Randolph, you're first. Start with your name. You have 3 minutes.
More than anybody.
Michael Randolph? Is he muted?
Hello?
There we go. Start with your name, please. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa CDC. So today I'm here to talk about the Rome Yard Project and Community Benefit Agreement. As a matter of fact, the first phase of the Rome Yard Project will include the Community Benefit Agreement. For the last months, we talked about the Technology, Wealth Building, and Job Creation Center. Today, we want to talk about the job creation, and next week, we'll talk about how we're going to fund the project. The future of West Tampa, a new economic engineer and new permanent job creation. The West Tampa CDC is building a permanent community-rooted economy using AI to transform West Tampa from a neighborhood at risk to community ownership. Let's talk about the key strategic pillars. First, high-wage jobs, preparing residents for 60-plus career path, ensuring that our workforce lead the economic resolution. Second, income stabilization, supporting 40-plus community-based businesses and e-commerce models to provide supplemental income, and should I say needed, to include helping people with the cost of inflation and raising rent. Job multiplier effect. As these businesses grow to scale, they are hiring locally, creating a cycle of growth for neighborhoods, jobs. Next, equity development. Providing historically marginalized voices to ensure that the community, not outside interests, are primary benefits of growth. And finally, in the city, not finally, but the city's going to love this, fiscal strength. Generating new city tax revenue through business licenses and tax sales, funding schools and infrastructure without raising funds. And then finally, our wealth building displacement strategy, shifting residents from consumers to owners of digital assets, creating a financial shield against gentrification. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and we do fully support Zion Cemetery and hope that you will bring the dark to the light and fund them, because it's an economic strategy as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate your input. Adriana Rodriguez, good morning, my friend. Ms. Rodriguez. What's the diagnosis, Keith? Adriana, unmute yourself, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. Start with your name.
Good morning, Tampa City Council, Adrian Rodriguez, Tampa lifelong resident and native. When I last spoke remotely February 5th, I wasn't able to see council members during my comments. I was later told that one member was looking at his cell phone and turning away, and that sends a message of disinterest. I respectfully ask that while I'm speaking, council members give this issue their full attention to this critical situation. I'd like to speak on Cologne Cemetery, not Marti Cologne. The original Marti Cemetery was built over and effectively erased in the 1980s. And continuing to use that name does not reflect the historical reality. After the discovery of Zion Cemetery, city officials stated, and here are some quotes, "We have to make sure this never happens again. We owe it to these families to protect these sites." This is a lesson for the city of Tampa. So I ask, was that just lip service? Because here we are now facing the same situation again. We're trying to prevent history from repeating itself and to stop another historically significant burial ground from being ignored or erased. I was told by Mr. Shelby that this issue is outside the scope of Tampa City Council. Respectfully, that is not correct. Florida Statute 872 protects burial sites. Recent updates strengthen those protections specifically for abandoned and unmarked cemeteries like this. These laws exist to prevent exactly what we're seeing today. And you do have the power to act, Council. You can pause construction. You can delay or influence permitting. You can call for further review and investigation. The city's chief building official, J.C. Hutchinson, already has this information. This is not hypothetical. This is happening now. So the question is not whether you can act. The question is, will you? If the city meant what it said after Zion, that this must never happen again, then this is the moment to prove it. Because we owe it to these families. We owe it to the history. We owe it to the people of Tampa to ensure Colon Cemetery is not another failure to protect what matters. I would like to thank Richard Gunsmart and the city of Tampa for working together on a land swap deal pertaining to Zion Cemetery. Thank you, Richard, for always doing the right thing, unlike others. I also encourage the city to reach out to Patrick Thorpe and other landowners with suspected graves to explore similar land swaps and protect these sites. Our history is far more important than unchecked development. And in 394 days, Tampa will have a mayor that listens to the community. LOL. We'll have a mayor that listens to the community, cares about our history, the Black communities, and works with Tampa City Council, not against them. 394 days till Baby Jane leaves office. Hang in there, Tampa. Have a great day, Council.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes public comment. Thank you very much. Okay, is there any request from the public for reconsideration of legislative matters? Hearing none. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Councilwoman Young, would you move items 5 and 6?
I move items 5 and 6.
Second. We have a motion from Councilwoman Young, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Maniscalco, would you move items 7 and 8?
I move items 7 and 8.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Miranda, would you move items 9 and 10?
Yes, sir. I move item 9 and 10 on the finance
Second.
committee.
We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We're going to have two things for you, Mr. Carlson. Would you first move items 11 through 13?
So I'm going to recuse myself from item number 12 because a client that my company does business with may be related to this project. So I'll move 11 and 13.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Carlson to
Second.
move 11 and 13. A second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I
Ayes
move
have
number
it.
12.
Okay, we
Second.
have a motion from Councilman Miranda to move item 12. A second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Can we just have him call it?
What's that?
Can we just have him call it?
Hugh, would you please call that vote with him recusing himself? Item number 12.
Item number 12 passes
With
with Carlson vote.
recusing.
With Carlson recusing.
Do you abstain?
Whatever word
Abstain,
you
not
want.
recuse. Well, actually, it's abstain.
As official of the vote, yeah.
Motion passes with Carlson abstaining.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Sorry, I led you down that path. Okay, Mr. Carlson, or Councilman Carlson, would you move items 16 and 17 to substitute motions, please?
So
Or
moved.
resolutions.
So
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
I move item 18.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilman Hurtak, a second from Councilman Maniscalco, moving on to 18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And
Ayes have it.
I make a motion to open the 10 and 10:30 public hearings.
Thank you. We have a motion to open the 10 and 10:30 public hearings. A second from, who was that? Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Carlson.
I was absent apparently on number 19, but I reviewed the file, so I'm ready to vote.
Okay, and Councilman Vieira, you were absent on 20, and you're ready to vote? Okay, very good. Item number 19, staff? Who from staff is going to present 19?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have not been sworn in this morning.
Okay, very good. We see you now. Can you put it up on the public monitors as well, please? Okay, start with your name, sir. Christopher, start with your name.
Oh, sorry there. I have not been, Mr. Chairman, Christopher DeMonch, Development Coordination. I have not been sworn in.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to swear you in. Sorry. Everybody, yeah, if anybody's here for the public hearings, would you stand, raise your right hand and be sworn in? Sorry about that.
I do.
Thank you, Christopher. Start with your name again, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Christopher DeMonch with Development Coordination. Agenda item number 19 is REZ 25-126. This item is a rezoning request for property located at 4102 North 22nd Street. The request is to rezone from CG to planned development for residential single-family attached. Revisions have been completed and certified plans have been submitted to the clerk's office. I'm available for any questions.
We had a concern from public comment today. They mentioned that this was a already constructed project. Can you please give the scope and scale of this project and why it's being rezoned?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a request to change the rezoning, the zoning for the site from commercial general to planned development. There are approximately 4 single-family attached dwelling units that are proposed for this site. The units have vehicular access from East Ida Street, while the front door for Unit 4 is along 4102 North 22nd Street. Are there any specific details, Mr. Chairman?
They were just questioning why it's being
requesting?
rezoned if there was already construction on the project. Yeah. Is there an applicant present for this? Okay, the applicant's here. We can talk to him about it.
Okay.
Okay, go on, come forward. Could you provide clarification about your request?
Excuse me?
Could you provide clarification about your request? There was a person in the public that spoke about this project this morning during public comment and said that, said that there was already construction on the project and why we're rezoning now. Could you just-
it's a vacant lot. There's nothing going on.
Okay, very good. I just wanted, hey, start with your name, please.
You can take public comment when the time comes about the project.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I wanted, while you were presenting the project, I wanted to provide clarification. So state your name for the record, please.
Mario Espaillat.
Okay, very good. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak to this item?
Yes.
Valerie, come ahead forward and start with your
My
name,
name is
please.
Valerie Bullock, Consul Leon Cottage here. The property name will be Somerset on Genesis. Here's what they already built. This is from what I took on Monday. So I haven't been back. I have been back by there, but I took pictures on another phone. So they definitely have started. As a matter of fact, they've already put the installation stuff on it also. And I have witnesses. I called Mrs. Burden, and she came around there with me, and I went inside the property and talked to the man. And I asked him, do y'all do any hiring? And that's when he told me, no, he's not the owner. I asked him that too. He said he was not the owner. But it's definitely building up there. I wish somebody, hold on, let me do this phone. You can see the little pickup sticks. That's what we start calling it, pickup sticks.
Well, it was up for a second, yeah.
And it already have the insulation on the outside, like that tie-back wrap. They didn't do that. They had a silver insulation with the, oh shoot. It's a building already there.
Okay. Thank you, Valerie.
You're welcome.
Anybody else in the public who wishes to speak to this item? Sir, Connie, go ahead. Start with your name, please.
Good morning, Connie Burton. The property, if 4102 North 22nd Street is not the pickup stick items that we witnessed there on 22nd Street, I would say I apologize, but there is construction being done at the corner of 22nd Street and 41st. And my concern and our concern is that we see a lot of fast-moving projects going in East Tampa right now. And then we would look at the agenda. The agenda is talking about having a public hearing regarding the second reading. And so things are not matching up. And we want real transparency. We cannot ask the residents not to start on projects that has not been approved. And then we see people, developers coming in, moving their projects as if it's a done deal. So I would say somebody from the city of Tampa need to get out there and see, and the people in the community is calling it the pickup stick project, because that's all we see is a bunch of wood And now every day you go through there, you see one or two people that's working on that project. I want to know where is the site manager, where is the city of Tampa inspectors on that project, and that the community is not just bamboozled because people are now willing to see projects that is just almost like stamped and approved to run through East Tampa. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Anybody else in the public? Hearing none. Applicant, can you come back forward? I know you kind of only get one bite of that apple. Applicant, would you come forward, please?
Somerset on Genesis.
Can you address those concerns that were just expressed?
Yeah, I think there's a confusion there.
Start with
Maybe
your
they're
name
talking
again.
about another property?
Yeah, start with your name again, please.
Mario Espaillat.
Okay.
I think they're confused because there's nothing going on in that lot at all. This is the corner of Ida and 22nd, and there's nothing going on in that lot right now.
Okay. Very good.
So I don't know what the confusion is really.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? No? Can I get a motion to close? A motion to close from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman Carlson, would you read 19, please?
I'll move it and support it, assuming that what he just said is true. If new evidence arises, this is the second reading.
Second reading.
Okay. File number REZ 25. Move file number REZ 25-126. Ordinance being presented for second reading adoption. Ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 4102 North 22nd Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classification CG Commercial General to PD Plan Development Residential Single Family Attached, providing effective date.
We have a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
If I may add something?
It's closed.
Yeah, well, after we vote then.
Okay. I don't mean to rush you, but you gotta vote.
Chair, we need one. Wait, no, one more.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Can we speak? Because it seems like someone's having difficulty.
Yeah, but after the,
Okay.
no, it's closed, we can't do any, provide any more testimony until this. Unless somebody wants a motion to reopen and reconsider the vote.
I want to open, reconsider it.
Okay, we have a motion to reopen the hearing.
Not reopen the hearing, just to have a
Well,
conversation
that
among
does
ourselves.
reopen it, yeah.
Okay, fine.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak. Was that a second from Councilman Miranda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And he
Ayes
was
have it.
first.
Councilman Miranda.
I just want to say that our evidence in voting is on the estimate we heard of the developer who said it's not even the right address, that he has nothing, no bearing of anything but raw land. And it's based on that evidence that I'm voting, and I'm sure the council is too, one way or the other.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hurtak.
And the same thing, we just have the evidence that's in front of us. So, yeah, I agree with
And he did
what
that
said.
under oath.
Yeah.
Okay. And Councilman Carlson, your light is still on. Is that just a leftover? Okay, very good. Anybody else? Okay, can I get a motion to close? We have a motion to close from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, do we need to read this again? No, okay, so Carlson, we had the motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote again, please.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 20. Staff?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Christopher DeMonts, Development Coordination. Item number 20 is REZ 25-129. This item is a rezoning request for property located at 2707 East 22nd Avenue, Unit Number 1. The request is a rezone from RM16 to Planned Development for residential single-family semi-detached uses. Revisions have been made and certified plans have been submitted to the clerk's office. I'm available for any questions.
Does council have any questions? Hearing none. Applicant?
Good morning, Jamie Mayer of Hillward Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700. I have been sworn. I have no comments to add, but I'm here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, have any questions of the applicant? Hearing none. Does anybody in the public wish to speak to item 20? Start with your name, please.
Valerie Bullock. Aquina Property Management LLC, they have a lot of discrimination complaints. And I understand that the city, you have to have a private business partnership, but I don't understand why agreement was put in there specifically for them. Is the city in management business now?
Thank you. Anybody else in the public wish to speak to this item? Hearing none. Can we get a motion to close?
Second.
Oh, do you want to rebut? Sorry. Start with your name.
Jamie Mayer of Hillward Henderson, representing the applicant. I don't have any knowledge about their management practices, but we think this is on the merits. We've met the code with respect to this application. Respectfully request your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask Marty a question?
Councilman Carlson.
Marty, to comment was just made in public, is that evidence that we could use in our decision or not?
Well, the answer, for the purpose of a bonus provision agreement, the answer to that is no, as long as it is consistent with the competent substantial evidence that supports the rezoning and the decision to approve a bonus provision agreement. I don't believe it's appropriate for your decisions. If there are other concerns, just as if there are other concerns with any other case that may require you to make inquiries of staff, you can still do so. I know Ms. Johnson-Velez is here if she has no additional comments on that. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, does that satisfy you?
Yeah, I think the point is that the issues that were brought up by Ms. Bullock could be addressed outside of this hearing.
Okay, very good.
Move to close if I
We have a
may.
motion to close from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Vieira, would you read item 20, please?
Yes, sir. I move ordinance presented for second reading, adoption ordinance rezoning property in general vicinity of 2707 East 22nd Avenue, Unit 1, City of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classification RM16 residential multifamily to PD plan development residential single family semi-detached, providing an effective date.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Councilman Vieira, would you move the resolution,
I
please?
hereby move.
We have a motion from Councilman Vieira to move resolution attached to item 20, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilwoman Hurtak.
My legislative aide just let me know that Abby Feely gave us a call and let us know that she's going to send someone out to look at that property, just to double check and to make everyone feel better.
Okay, very good.
Did you hear that, Ms. Bullock? Yeah, okay, great.
Item number 21, staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, for the record, Christopher DeMonch, Development Coordination. Item number 21 is REZ 2632. This is a rezoning request for property located at 110 South Boulevard. The request is to rezone from planned development to planned development for residential multiple family and parking off-street commercial. Revisions have been completed and certified plans have been submitted to the clerk's office. I'm available for any questions.
Christopher, the changes to the landscaping plan, was that done between first and second?
It was done, Mr. Chairman. Staff confirmed the applicant submitted revised plans. We inspected digital plans first, and then they provided printed plans, which were inspected again.
Thank you very much. Okay, applicant?
Alex Shaler, 400 North Ashley Drive. Nothing further to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does council have any questions? Anybody in the public here wish to speak to this item? Hearing none, can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
We have a motion to close from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilwoman Young, would you read item 21, please?
Item 21, file number REZ-26-32, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. I'll read the resolution.
No, you read the.
Here, okay. An ordinance rezoning property in general vicinity of 110 South Boulevard in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification PD plan development to PD plan development residential multifamily parking off-street commercial, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Young. We have a second from Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Councilwoman Young, would you please move the resolution?
Resolution approving a bonus.
You just moved the resolution.
Oh, move the resolution,
There you
sorry.
go. Councilwoman Young removes the resolution. Second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we are moving right along. Item number 22. Okay. Yeah, 22. Yes.
Oh, there you go, Mr. Brody, that's what I thought, go ahead, sir.
Carl Brody, Legal Department, here to present the first reading for the proposed ordinance to create a Veterans Affairs Committee. The committee is basically for the purpose of providing ceremonial activities to create greater awareness in the community of veterans, and also to coordinate with the different veterans communities and organizations in the city. When we put this ordinance together, we did a survey of relatively similar ordinances throughout the country, other cities and counties have, and this is the result. So I'm here for any questions, if you have any.
If I may.
Councilman Bureau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me get this here. I wanted to thank you, Mr. Brody, for your work on this very much. So we've worked on this for a while, and my idea was that I'm out of here in October, and I typically do a lot of these patriotic and Memorial Day things outside at City Hall and so forth. And I want to make sure that this continues, and I think that having a Veterans Advisory Board certainly does that, as well as other things. This is something that's very important. As folks said today in public comment, we are a city of Tampa that's very patriotic, and we love our veterans. We have probably about 125,000, 130,000 veterans, I think it is, in Hillsborough County, which is a great number. We have many, many here in the city of Tampa. But there was one little change I wanted to make. It's funny because somebody mentioned this in public comment, and I agree with this, which is, can we do this between first and second reading? Under membership, it says membership shall consist of veterans, and then it has different groups. Can we change that to veterans or Gold Star family members? Is that something that can be done?
We can change that in between.
Okay, that's going to be a request I'm going to make, if I may, counsel, for this. I think that makes sense. We had discussed this, but I believe it was Ms. Pointer had spoken about it. I know her husband, Colonel Keith Pointer, who's a mentor in our 13th Judicial Circuit Veterans Treatment Court, and is a wonderful man, a very good person, and with very good taste in music. By the way, we talk about music sometimes. But I think that makes sense. So no, I thank you for this. I think this is going to be really, really great. I see this being a permanent part of our city civic culture, like the African American Advisory Board, the Hispanic Advisory Board, the Asian Pacific Advisory Board, and so forth. So I think this is going to be great. So thank you again for your work, sir. That's all.
Okay, thank you. We have, well, I guess that was we'll get to that in a second. Councilwoman Hurtak.
Councilman Vieira, thank you for changing that, but I still am concerned. I don't think it's a wrong thing at all to have Gold Star member families, but I do believe we need to cap it at a number, because what were to happen if it becomes, just because you never know. It could end up being more families than veterans. Yeah. And I think that was the overall issue. So maybe one veteran family from council and one from the mayor, or something like that, would take the concern of those who spoke today, and I thought their thing made sense, and I appreciate the change. But maybe just saying a certain number of families, so that we can really focus on veterans,
Sure.
like they talked about.
Yes, ma'am. So, I'm willing to, if council's amenable to this, if we have 13 people, that we can say no more than 4 positions go to a Gold Star family member.
Perfect.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. That's my only concern. I do appreciate what folks said today, and we have so many veterans that we will be able to fill those positions
easily,
with
yes,
just the veterans themselves.
Yes,
So how are they filled?
So it will be
here,
one, if I may, Mr. Chair, one council member gets a pick, and then the mayor has 6. And so we'll, I guess, go through that. So go through the folks that you know, and I know who my pick is. He's a very nice gentleman. And so there you go. So yeah, and I will say this, and council knows this, which is that it's important for us to make sure that we, our veteran population is extremely diverse. And they come from all different backgrounds, all different socioeconomic backgrounds. They are Christians, they are Jews, they are Muslims, they are non-believers, black, white, straight, gay, from all over. And we want to make sure that we have a veteran population that, or strike that, a board population that reflects the diversity of our wonderful veteran population.
Can we do that with 9 though? 13 seems like a big committee.
So if I may for that, I actually think that's fine. I believe that's about the number that we have now for existing boards. And you're always going to get at meetings 2 or 3 who have concurrent commitments that preclude them from being as involved. If we put it down to 8, it's really going to be 5. Whereas if we do it to 13, it's probably going to be 10.
So I'm thinking 9.
The what?
I'm thinking 9.
I mean, I like 13. And this is why. It gives the mayor a chance to appoint a good number, because a lot of people who don't go through us can also go through the mayor, and I think that's great. And again, you're always going to get 2 or 3 people who are just not going to be involved. So if you do 9, that's really 6 or 7. And, you know, I think that also having a good number, again, our veteran population is extremely diverse, philosophically in every which way. And if you get that 13, whether it's whatever number it is around there, I think it gives you a good pool to go fishing from, if that makes sense.
Councilman Rand, did you want to speak?
I just want to second it. I understand what he's saying about the ratio and so forth, and he's right about some people can't show up in every meeting for one reason or another.
Well, we have 2 people that may be the next mayor of the city of Tampa sitting here. What do you guys think?
You mean you're not running?
I am not running.
I will say that again, I mean, if 13 doesn't work, we can always change it. If he modeled it based on other committees.
Is that what all our committees are?
And I will say though, that one thing I do like, when there is a committee where each council member appoints a person, I always find that I'm a little more attached to that committee, meaning I try to reach out to my person. Whether or not they respond is up to them, but I at least try.
I agree.
So in that regard, I do understand and like what he has, his proposal. And with all the changes, with only 4, I'm happy with that.
Okay, Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I don't care whether it's 9 or 13 as long as city council has 7. I think every committee going forward, and I wish this was in the charter, but I think every committee going forward should have 1 for each council member. Council represents the diverse interests of the community, and if we end up with less than 7, we end up essentially with 0, because we don't know where the applicants come from, and so this way we have the assurance that we're representing all the community.
Sounds good. Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Vera, and we have a second. Well, we have to actually public comments, right? Is anybody in the audience that wishes to speak to this item? Oh, we got one. Carol Ann Pointer.
Good morning, Stephanie Pointer. So I made the comment because that's a comment that my husband made to me yesterday when I talked to him about it. I still think that this should be majority veterans. I also have a huge issue with any of you saying, oh, well, if nobody shows up. I'm sorry, but we have a budget committee, and our budget committee, we have expectations of attendance. So if you're gonna nominate somebody who may not show up all the time, tell them to stay home. As a matter of fact, you can tell the people who show up and don't say a word for the 4-hour-long meeting to stay home too, and I've already discussed that with the folks who've nominated those people. But with that being said, again, you know, I don't understand how you can control how many family members are on there if you're not nominating but 1 person. And I also don't understand why the mayor needs 6 people on this committee. You guys each get 1. She can have 2, she can have 4, but 6. And did you read it? Because 5 of her 6 are going to be for 3 years, and she's gone next year. I don't understand. Why does she get to nominate those people? Because the only way you can get rid of those people is with cause. There should be an attendance rule. As somebody who's on the budget committee, there's nothing more irritating than not having a quorum because people don't bother to show up. That needs to be absolutely in every committee whatsoever. It doesn't say how often this committee is supposed to meet. That should be in there. Who's gonna be in charge of this committee? Who's gonna babysit it from the city? You have to have a babysitter. Hager babysits the budget committee now. Before that, it was Corinthia and Marty. So who's gonna babysit this committee? It's not in the ordinance. But I still, and I had friends who said, I don't know, I think it's okay if you're a spouse. Well, I'm a 30-year spouse. 30 years I've spent being a military spouse, but I've never, ever put on that uniform. So I cannot tell you what it's like to be in a combat situation. I cannot tell you what it's like to not be able to sleep at night because you have PTSD. I cannot make those decisions. I am not a veteran. My mother was a veteran, but I am not a veteran. So we have to take that into consideration. One or two maybe, but I don't like the way it's set up because veterans deserve the respect of being veterans. If somebody wants to come, if they want to be a Gold Star, if they want to be a spouse and they want to come and contribute, fine. That's what public comment is for. But this board is called the Veterans Board. And y'all can do what you want. But I don't see any veterans on this council either. I love all y'all, but you're not veterans, nor am I. So I can never, ever claim to be a veteran, even though I've spent the last 30 plus years with my veteran. And I spend summers with Warrior Sailing, who are, it's like, I'd rather spend a week with fifth graders, okay?
Thank you, Ms.
But
Brown.
have a good day.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public wish to speak to this item? Hearing none. Councilman Bureau.
Thank you very much. Two things, and I want to say this for, and I know Ms. Pointer knows this. I'm not. Her husband is a retired lieutenant colonel. When I say families in this context, I mean Gold Star families are only eligible for this. That is families who lost a loved one due to they're in military service, combat or otherwise. So this isn't just for, this is for people who lost sons and daughters in military service, not just family members. So again, that's Gold Star families, or in terms of this, because I think there may have been some confusion. Originally it said family members, but we've taken that out. In terms of attendance, Mr. Brody, that's a good point. Is that in the ordinance, or can council make that as a rule?
No, and we don't do that in ordinances.
That's what I
mean,
thought.
we have many different committees and boards, and those are always done internally by their rules, their policies, their bylaws. And then if they determine that there's a person that is not participating fully, then they contact either the mayor or the city council.
And we can look at that. Yes, sir. Yeah. But again, I'm fine with it as is. I think this is great, and I'm prepared to read it if I may.
Can I speak while you're
Yeah,
reading?
go ahead.
Thank you. I do tend to agree with the appointment that she brought up. The fact that all council's getting is an initial 1-year term and then 2-year terms, and the mayor's getting all the 3-year terms. And I don't think that's fair. And I don't have a problem with taking it down to 4 members for the mayor. Like I really would prefer at this point maybe to get some of these ideas put together. And I understand that you say that these bylaws or whatever are created by the board, but I don't think they should be. I think that I do tend to agree. We've had problems with boards because people don't show up to them. So I think that we do need to start putting them in the actual ordinance themselves, so that, I mean, the ordinance is changeable by council whenever. But the problem is we don't have a place to this to go under. We don't have someone who's watching it. We don't know how often. So I can't go and reach out to veterans I know and ask them to be on this committee because I can't tell them how often it meets, where it's going to meet, where it's under. So personally, I would like to hold this for 2 more weeks and get more of those answers. I support this wholeheartedly, but when I'm going to reach out to a veteran that I know, that's the first question they are going to ask me. And I apologize, I did not get these questions ahead of time. I still feel awful. But I really love this, and I truly support and appreciate you bringing this forward, but I want this to be a success from day one.
Sure.
So can we,
If I
would
can
you
make one-
entertain moving this to April 16th back to first reading?
Now,
If I can make one point. the ordinance specifically provides that this
You
group
have
is
to
going to
state your
meet
name.
quarterly.
Start with your name again.
Yeah.
Name.
Carl Brody, legal. The ordinance specifically provides that this group is going to meet at least quarterly. And so I've heard that a couple times that there's no standard for the number of meetings they're going to have. They're going to have at least 4 meetings a year. And, I mean, the purpose of the ordinance is to provide a broader understanding of how this committee, or just generally, how the law will apply. You have the committees in place so that they can create their own specific internal rules of how they want to operate. Putting that kind of granular specifics in the ordinance is going to become overly burdensome, I think, for the committee and for yourself, because you don't want to have to come back every time if one of the committee members is concerned that, oh, this provision of the ordinance is requiring me to make a certain number of meetings, but doesn't clarify that, if I'm sick, I can't make a meeting, which would result in some outcome that's codified. So we don't like to put those kind of requirements, those kind of internal procedure requirements in the ordinance, because you need to have some flexibility at that level.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
But I believe that we can build that in. Our office will be happy to add some comments. Maybe we can go from, especially most recently, the Charter Review Commission has some great rules for that. And I believe that we need to start implementing that, because otherwise we end up with a Citizens Budget Advisory Council, which has taken 10 years to settle into being something. And I don't want people to not show up for this. I want this to be effective. And I understand that it's a committee, but I think it's a committee based on what we put together, what the electeds put together, not by the power of the committee itself. So I would really love to hold this for 2 weeks. I'm not comfortable voting on it now.
Councilman Carlson.
I think the similar comments that I have had to the Charter Review Commission, I think that the committee should have autonomy, and if we want to create an additional structure, we could maybe do it in a separate ordinance that would apply to all the committees. But they meet quarterly. If they want to meet more often, they want to set their own rules, go ahead, and we can give advice. But when I appoint someone, I want to hear what they have to say, and I might disagree with them. I often disagree with my appointees, but I like to hear what they say because they reflect the community. I would be okay if we move forward, just reminding the changes. Councilmember Hurtak suggested that we change the mayors down to 4, which I agree with. Also that we make them all 1-year terms. I think I heard that. And then Councilmember Vieira suggested veterans and Gold Star families, but not others. The last thing I'll say is, as we're getting in the weeds talking about this, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that Councilmember Vieira and staff, but Councilmember Vieira especially, has been working on this maybe 3 or 4 years, a long, long time, and it is a really important insight. The veterans and current active duty military are very, very important to our community. They're spread throughout, and they have contributed so much to our community. We need to make sure that we're sensitive to them, and that we make sure that we care to their needs. And business groups in the community help with the transition from McDill to the private sector, because we try to keep as many people as possible here. They're already vetted by the military. They're smart. They care about our community and our country, and it's great to keep them here. Thank you.
Councilman Miranda.
Thank you. From just hearing and listening, and I agree with most of the conversation, but if it's a 13 committee, we have to do something to share it and how it works. I think the mayor, wherever the mayor is, has 3, 1 for 1 year, 1 for 2 years, 1 for 3 years. Then the council members have 1 each, which is 7, that's 10, and the other 3 are chosen by the total council.
I'm good with that.
That way you got the 13 covered. That's my recommendation.
Okay, okay, Councilman Vieira.
Yes, sir. So this is the motion I'm going to make, if I may, which is that Councilwoman Hurtak wants this 2 weeks. I'm okay with that.
It's April 16th.
Yeah, yes, that's fine. As a courtesy, I'm glad for that. But so if I may, and tell me what y'all think of this, council. So I'm going to ask Mr. Brody, thank you again for your hard work on this, sir, to bring this back on April 16th. as follows, which number one, to put inclusion of this for veterans and Gold Star family members, no more than 4 for Gold Stars. And again, I don't think we'll reach that, but you never know. And then was that it?
I heard 1-year terms.
Okay, yeah, and I'm fine with that. 1-year terms to be reappointed, I'm fine with that. Yes, ma'am.
And can we reach out to Mr. Brody with other suggestions?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the composition of the committee.
And then in terms of the composition of the committee, just know this, council, that if we have a collective appointment, what Councilman Miranda said, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You know, it will take a time of council to hear folks in the community, but with that, I'm willing to say, mayor gets 3 appointments, council gets 3 collectively, and then 1 individually. I'm fine with that.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
See, I would rather just let the mayor have 4 and have council each choose 1.
Yeah, 4, 7, and 2 alternates.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I agree
that's,
with that.
that's,
Fine.
and then 1 alternate per each, I guess, right?
So if I may, and if council wishes it, that's fine. We're equivalent between Methodist and
So
Presbyterian.
let me put this in summary. We're going to continue this to April 16th for back to first reading, with the understanding that we'll stick with the composition that you'd initially proposed of 7 council appointments, 1 each, with 4 mayoral appointments. Yeah. Okay, that was the original in the original, right?
No, that was 6 in the original.
Okay, I'm sorry. So 7 and 4. You're right. I'm sorry. 7 and 4. 1-year terms, and that no more. So of those 7 and 4, no more than 4 will be Gold Star families. Councilwoman Hurtak. Let me address the rule thing before you, maybe because that's what you're talking about. I kind of like I don't remember who said that. I think it was Councilman Carlson. I think it's a good idea that we actually establish standard rules for all committees.
I agree with that, and I don't have the brain power to put that together, but
Right.
Someone else can do that today. But my bigger concern is the staggering. I do think that 1 year is not enough time to be on a committee. This is why, going forward, again, this is something I'd like to talk to Mr. Brody about, where I do think staggered terms are important, because 1 year is not enough time to create the consistency that is needed. So I don't have a problem with starting with 1, 2, and 3-year staggered terms. I will even choose to be a 1-year term if it's an issue. But I do believe that we need to start staggering and maybe have them 3-year terms. But for those of us sitting up here, we only get 1 or 2 or 3 randomly chosen, or some. I don't know if I'm even making sense at this point, but I do think we need to have 3-year terms. I think it's important for continuity, but I do believe at this beginning, we're gonna have to stagger them, and someone's gonna be stuck with a 1-year or a 2-year
I think we have 3 people that are not going to be here.
Okay.
So I think that'll automatically build in.
Okay, well, however it works, but I do think that 1-year terms are not okay.
Okay.
Again, that's why.
And so when we finish with this business, I think I would like to get a volunteer to bring forward for business on April 16th with the proposed rules for all standing committees. If somebody with, I'm looking at you.
Mr. Chairman, I just if I can, first of all, that next meeting is going to be, frankly, when is the deadline to put in things for the April 16th meeting?
It'll be very soon.
It'll be very soon.
Well, no, they could bring back for new business on April 16th.
But what I'm saying though is that we're going to have to talk about that, because that's going to need direction. Are you referring to standing boards? Are you referring to boards that are decision-making boards? The mayor has a lot of committees that are not created by ordinance. This is being created by ordinance. Is it those that are codified? So it's a greater discussion that I
We'll have that greater discussion. So maybe that's why we'd like to get somebody to volunteer. Okay, so anyway, so I have a motion from Councilman Viera to continue this to April 16th back to first reading with those suggested changes. I have a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Thank you. Very good. Okay, in reference to that, again, it would be good if somebody would pick up the responsibility to bring back for new business at least the proposals, if we're going to try to introduce something for a standard operating procedure for committees. Okay, very good. Item number 23, you're back, as promised.
Mike Perry, Revenue and Finance, unless you have any further questions.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
I was just gonna move the ordinance.
Okay, very good. Is there anybody in the public wish to speak to item number 23?
Oh, yep, here she comes.
Of course. Remember, I'm trying to get out by lunch. And we have a press conference, by the way, at lunch.
I always say nice things about you, Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry's a veteran. Ask him. Anyway, Stephanie Pointer, I just want to wholly support this. We need to do more of this within the city of Tampa because the citizens of Tampa should not have paid out almost $2 million in the last 2 years for developers to put in whatever they need for water, wastewater. We have a huge bond thing right now that's going to come into and get rolled around in 29. Let's use this money instead of using the $2 million to pay for developers to build something for us. Go figure. Let's use that to pay off some of that debt. Thank you.
Thank you. Next big public speaker, start with your name, please.
Good morning. My name's Michelle Miles, a lifetime generational Hillsborough County concerned citizen and an almost 30-year city employee who passionately loves our county. Today I stand before you on personal time during Water Conservation Month, Holy Week, and drought conditions to bring awareness about a Hillsborough County CPA 2537, which in my opinion may greatly impact the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, and the Tampa Bay region residents' water supply.
And this is just about the rate increase. Is it?
Correct.
Very good. Okay.
And it will affect, could possibly, so please know that.
Okay.
On February 9th, Hillsborough County Planning Commission voted that the 7,944 acres of planned environmental community development could possibly impact, I'm sorry, you threw me for a second, so give me 2 seconds. I apologize.
I'll give you extra little time.
On February 9th, Hillsborough County City Planning Commission voted and recommended denial of HC CPA 2537. Approximately 30 speakers were there to raise their environmental and infrastructure impact concerns. It's my understanding, despite valid objections from Board of County Commissioners, Board of County Commissioners along with city council members have the power to overrule what could be an increase in density from 704 dwelling units to almost 4,000 in eastern Hillsborough County. And the reason I'm here today is this could affect our water supply within the city of Tampa, as this rural area is within Hillsborough River and the Tampa Bypass Canal location. During your lunch break, I respectfully ask that you closely read Rory Jones's State of the River update, which he emailed last night on April 1st at 8 p.m. This is no April Fool's joke. Should our agencies not work together closely to protect their constituents and trusting taxpayers, our natural resources are put into jeopardy. Who will be responsible to pay and provide essential water and wastewater services to a developer who knowingly does not have access to water or wastewater services? Will it be the city who's asked by the Board of County Commissioners to provide that? What happens if they approve this? They start building, so we just go ahead and then provide them at whose cost? So in closing, I would please ask you to review the facts of HC CPA 37, and fact check if the details that I have just shared will negatively impact the city's citizens and our infrastructure and water within the city, as well as the county and our region. I thank you for all of your services.
Motion, Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda, Councilwoman Hurtak.
No, I was gonna read it,
Okay, Councilwoman Hurtak.
but we have to close it.
Oh, we have a motion to close?
Yeah, but we didn't vote on it.
Okay, was that up? So that was a motion. Jeez, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think, I'm thinking press release right now. We have a motion to close from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
Okay.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, amending City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, Chapter 26, Article 1, Section 26 through 31, utility rates, fees and charges, and Section 26-37, water capacity fee, by increasing the water and wastewater capacity fees, by removing conflicting and outdated portions of Section 26-31, utility rates, fees, and charges, by repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak. The second was from Councilman Miranda, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Councilwoman Hurtak.
I also move to accept, what's the word I'm looking
Receive
for?
and file.
Receive and file, or no, just, yeah, receive items 25, 29, and 30.
Let's to move the resolutions then.
Well, those are, yeah, I'm sorry, the resolutions, 25, 29, and 30.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak for 25, 29, and 30, move the resolution.
Sorry, I would like to vote on 25 separately.
Okay,
'cause I'm
so
gonna
let's
vote no on
separate that out. So we have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak to move item 25, is that correct?
Sure, 25.
We have a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so clerk?
Motion carried, council voting nay.
What? Motion, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Motion carried, council voting nay.
Councilman Carlson.
Voting no, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it was, we have 6 yeses and 1 no from Councilman Carlson. The motion passed, the resolution passes.
And then
Okay.
I move to receive and file items 29 and 30.
We have a motion to receive and file 29 and 30 from Councilwoman Hurtak, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Very good. Let's go to 14 and 15.
That was you.
I pulled it, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you got to say?
Okay, well, let me, I pulled those only because, I mean, I'm sensitive, and I know we had the briefing, and I'm empathetic with staff's position on this, but similar to what we've heard from public comment, these contracts have been extended multiple times, and I get some of them as extended now because of the financial agreements with their finance group, and that their stipulations required by their financial institutions that are financing the program. But when is enough enough? And I think I'm past that point, that enough is enough. So,
Can I add?
Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I've been against this contract since the beginning because I don't like the way it's done. The community has concerns about it. The community attitude, part of the community attitude and feeling is that this contract, this organization gets special treatment because they have a former mayor as a lobbyist, and the mayor's partner's firm is a lobbying firm for this. And there needs to be more transparency in this, and they should have been moving faster. If this was any other organization, the administration would have fired them by now.
Okay. Any other comment? Okay. Councilman Bureau.
I would like to hear from the entity as well as staff on this, among other things. I mean, before proceeding, this is.
Who wants to go first?
Rebecca Johns, Legal Department. I just want to make clear that this is the first time this phase has been extended. So the phasing and timing plan has been extended 3 times before, but that was for other phases. So as they're going through and developing the phases, that's where they're extending it for the financing for this phase. So this particular phase, phase 4, ever since the first approval on April 20th, 2023, the completion date has been December of 2027. Now we're extending it to September of 2028. But this is the first time, again, for this phase that this has been extending. The developer can explain more.
Potato. It still accumulates into multiple extensions. Okay, sir, go ahead. Start with your name, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Albert Milo, President of Related Urban. Just want to clarify for the record a couple of things. The initial delays were the property, this has 2 sites. It's got a north parcel and a south parcel. If you recall, when I was in front of this council previously, the north parcel had a lot of environmental challenges. It took over 8 businesses there. We're glad to report that we've exceeded that with 52%. We also had a 40% commitment for local hires with City of Tampa. We're at 43% on that. So this is just to align to your question, Mr. Chair. Our lenders are the financing for phase 4. It's a $94 million project. It's fully secured, including our investment of over $3 million into this phase. State monies is approved. We're finalizing our permits, our building permits, and we'll be closing next month and starting another 230 affordable housing units. So you're correct. It's just a matter of aligning that because of the permitting and the lender. But as soon as we get the permit, we close. That's really the difference for that. So.
Yeah, I kind of understand. I get what you're saying, but you have to admit that this project has been. I don't know if we would have given any other entity the kind of grace that this project has been given.
Rebecca Johns, Legal Department. I also want to point out that this developer was the only developer that responded to the RFP that didn't want money from the city.
Right.
And to that point, Mr. Chair, phase 1 required a $2.5 million investment from us. Part of that money was $500 and some odd thousand, which you just previously approved, that went to help the homeless side. So the next phase also has another contribution that helps with that, and it requires a $3 million investment on our part too. So not only we had to clean up the site, which again had a lot of challenges, but we've also had to invest our own funds in there to get this project moving and help, with the other affordability issues.
Yeah, just so much of this project, especially with the riverfront, and you've got this one, and you've got the other entity has got another parcel downtown. We're dependent upon Riverwalk, and so there's so much of this with the delays of the project. It's delaying bigger issues for the city of Tampa too. So that's part of my concern, is that it's so integrated with so many other things, and so we're kind of, I don't want to say you hold hostage, but we're end up, these projects are being delayed because of the delays and this. So
This portion of the Riverwalk is under construction.
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when's the completion on that?
It's slated on January of this year, and part of the connection to the Riverwalk is part of our project. So without us being able to move forward, there would be an incomplete portion of the Riverwalk. So that's part of our agreement, is to help you guys finish a portion of that.
Okay, I have completely lost track of who Councilman Carlson?
No, I just wanted to say, the reason why I've been against the West Riverwalk is because the public, because of these conflicts of interest, feels that the West Riverwalk is a project specifically for this developer. They own 3 or 4 parcels along that section. And the mayor has had a conflict of interest on this for multiple years, has never disclosed it, and has never done anything to rectify that. The mayor was involved in the RFP. The former mayor is involved in it, and the public thinks that this smells, and there needs to be more light shined on all this. It's not fair to other developers. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair to individuals who can't get their permits because they feel like that certain companies are getting a benefit because the former mayor and the mayor's partner's firm are lobbying. It's not fair. And they're not registering as lobbyists, by the way, either. They're not admitting that they're lobbyists. They're saying that they're active advocates instead of lobbyists. We've got to clean up this unethical behavior in this administration.
Councilman Vieira.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Ms. Johns, if I may. Remind me again, what was the continuance sought, the extension, time-wise?
For this, what
Yes,
we're
ma'am, for
asking
this
for
phase.
today?
Yes, ma'am.
It is from December of 2027 to September of 2028.
Okay. And what, if we were to vote that down, what would happen to the project? Like, if we were to vote this down, what would happen?
That's more of a better question for him.
It would stop.
Yeah, that's, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and so again, folks, a lot of people are bringing up issues. When I say issues of the past, I don't mean issues of the past that are not relevant. I'm not saying, oh, nothing's relevant, et cetera. But for me, the dispositive issue is, do we want this thing to go forward, right? Do we want this? And there is a world where we approve this and then we have an update within X amount of time on the continuance in terms of what is being done to mitigate that continuance. There is a world for that.
Okay, Councilwoman Young, followed by Councilwoman Hurtak.
Okay, two questions. One, the minority businesses that you're using, is there any way that that list of those businesses could be provided?
Sure, we can
Okay.
provide a report after the meeting to your office, not a
Yes.
problem.
And then my second question, so the, has the community benefits agreement changed at all since 2025? It's the same document? Okay.
Same document.
Okay, and then is that possible, and then my third question is, could we, put in some kind of like, progress report if we are to agree, so every, I don't know, 5 or 6 months, so we can make sure that we are staying to date with that project timeline?
5 to 6 months.
And they do progress reports, but we can add in something that they, we can provide it to council or, whatever, but we can do that.
Okay.
We can do, I don't know, your preference, whether it's biannually or quarterly, either or we can do it and make sure that the council gets copied on that. And again, this project is ready to close this phase. It's over $94 million and 230 units of additional affordable housing in the city.
Councilman Miranda.
Thank you. Many years ago, part of that area from north and south on the eastern side of the portion, I believe the property was, it was called the Rome Yard. It's called the Rome Yard because the city used it for dump trucks and things of that nature. And the pollution came by year after year after year for many, many, many years. I had long hair then. And now it's kind of not that long. That being said, that's one, and I don't know what time it took to clean all that. I'm not an expert on excavation and moving dirt and getting the requirements and the permits and all that kind of stuff. One thing I would never do is make accusations of anything innuendos. Whether this factual or not, I don't know. But this council member was here when all that was going on. And I've been here, go back and tell you when Moby Dick was a minnow here in Tampa, Florida. When there was no Riverwalk, when there's a damn thing downtown going on, but drug dealing, prostitution, and empty streets. You could cross the street anywhere you wanted. You can do whatever you wanted because there's no one living here. That changed during the time of individuals getting together, both administratively and council members, and doing things they had to do, they thought. We are number 1 or number 2 in the whole country in hotel occupancy. They don't come see me. They don't come see these council members. They don't come see the mayor either. They come and see because this city now is intrigued by individuals saying, what in the world are they doing that we don't have where I live? And when they come here, most of them do the Riverwalk on a daily basis. That Riverwalk is bought more through different individuals, not I, hundreds of eyes that worked in the city on and off in the mayor's office and on and off in this council to get what's going on done. And if you go back in history, the Strass Center was even regarded and voted down by the citizens. But one mayor said, we're going to build it. The Strass Center is another gold star in the city of Tampa. There was no museums downtown. There was Skid Row. The Tampa Theater was almost lost on a 4-3 vote in favor of keeping it. So if you want to talk about Tampa downtown, I'll challenge anybody on a debate on how it was done and why it's important to keep it on. Any city over 250,000 people that does not have an active downtown is dying. Not because I said it.
Remember, this is about Rome Yard, so, not downtown.
Well, I started with Rome, I'm gonna go to Spain, then I'm gonna go to England, then I'm coming back to Ybor City.
I know, I'm trying to get us out of here.
I know, but I'm not that hungry. I just want to finish saying that the facts are the facts, and that's what it is, and that's what I'm dealing with. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Councilman Raddick. Councilwoman Hurtak.
How many phases are in this development, Ms. Jones?
5.
How many have yet to be started?
4.
So we only have one phase started.
Yeah, one phase started and one phase that'll start in 60 days as soon as we get
Okay.
our permit.
So can I then assume that every other section will also need to be continued? And I'm not, like, this is my last one.
And I want to be clear that this happens because they do the, let me get rid of it. They do the phasing and timing plan before the design of the project. The first phasing and timing plan was before they got into the design. So as they design each project, you have to have a lease in place in order for them to get site control, in order to get financing. So we do the initial lease, they then get financing, and then again, the lender comments on the lease. The lender, the request is to extend the completion date for each one of these phases so that they don't automatically go into default if they're a day late. They can complete it sooner. This is just to give a cushion for that completion date. So as they go for each phase, and this is typical with every development, as you go phase by phase, they get financing for each phase and things change. So yes, they probably will be coming asking for an additional extension for each phase.
So what I would recommend is to do them all at once. Because I'm just, this is something that the public is just over. I think I either came in right after this approval but I echo what my fellow council members say. I don't like continuing this because there is, a very clear understanding of preferential treatment.
So let me just clarify, also, like I said, there's 2 parcels. There's the north, let's just call the north parcel, which is where phase 3 and phase 4 and the townhomes are. That was the parcel that had the environmental challenges and the infrastructure agreement part. That part is thankfully behind us. So this phase 4 is in that parcel. That's the one's gonna close. That kind of closes out that section on the multifamily, and then we just have the townhomes. However, part of the things that we're working on with the city is also that Riverwalk, because the Riverwalk over there behind Blake High School, it's gonna turn and just south of Ricks on the River, it's gonna turn and run west through the future phases, which was originally 1 and 2, and that is still being coordinated with your team and your professors, because you guys are working on that piece, and that infrastructure has to be coordinated, because it kind of, the Riverwalk is gonna bifurcate that south parcel, which is, and then have phases 1 and 2 on each side, so that's part of it too, like, we're just trying to make sure there's a lot of different topographies. If you go there on the road by Ricks on the River, you'll see it, kind of where we're building already. The road goes very down, so there's a lot of things that are being finalized to get that going, and then we'll start that subsequent phase. So that's part of it, and it continues up Rome Yard. Once it hits Rome, it's gonna go north on Rome, so.
Councilman Young, Hurtak, a follow-up, followed by Councilwoman Young.
But you all knew that you were going to have these problems. You knew this site was difficult. So why did you put the completion dates so early if you knew you were going to have all of these complications?
We actually didn't. Remember, we're not allowed to do due diligence during an RFP. After we were selected, that's when our engineers and we started doing our due diligence. So there was a global, concept of, hey, there's some infrastructure here and stuff, but we certainly were not, privy to exactly all the challenges there until we didn't get on site and started to do our due diligence with our professionals. And it's some of what you're encountering now with the Riverwalk. Again, it's just things you gotta work through when it's older infrastructure and things of that nature, and you just gotta get through it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Young.
So it's my understanding that the Can you explain to me with the community benefits agreement, is it tied to one phase or is it woven throughout the project?
Throughout.
Okay, and so for this phase that we're currently working on, could you please say what part of the community benefits agreement is being implemented right now?
So the Workforce Training Center is part of Phase 3A. It's under construction. The five lift,
This is phase 4.
No, well, I'm saying what's under construction now, then Phase 4. Yeah, so what's under construction now is Phase 3A, which is the Workforce Training Center, the 5 live work units, and the minority contracting and local hiring. That was all part of Phase 3A. There will still be in Phase 4, there'll be a little bit of retail, which is part of the, on the community benefits agreement, along with the minority hiring and local hiring components in Phase 4.
Okay, so I like the part, I like that it is kind of woven throughout the project, but we need housing.
That's part of this phase. This is all affordable housing. Yes, the units are, part of Phase 3A and part of 4. We have it's 440, 234 and 230, so 464 units. The majority of which, over 80% of those, are affordable housing, 120 and below.
Say that last part.
We have, I'll give you the exact numbers here. The AMIs for the units. Phase 3A, 184 units are 80% on AMI and below. And Phase 4, which is the one that's here for you now, that's about to close, will have all 230 units below 120% of AMI. So it's all falls under the city's definition of workforce, going from 20% of air median income up to 120% of median income. So we have all types of ranges of affordable housing in there.
Okay.
So when does market rate enter? Because we want truly mixed-use development, so we have.
We have 50 units in Phase 3A that's currently under construction, and then there'll be another 267 in the next 2 phases, which is the one that's gonna get bifurcated with the Riverwalk there.
Okay, very good. So that conforms with the initial agreement as far as the mix as we discussed?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco to move items 14 and 15, a second from Councilman Vieira. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Can we include that we're going to get, I mean, I know we already get a progress report, but even more in-depth progress report as we're going forward? Okay.
I think that would be a separate motion.
Okay, that's fine.
So I do want to point out that this lease already provides that they are to provide quarterly reports for the community benefits. So I can change that in the lease to the community benefits and just an overall construction report also.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you'll make that change?
I will make that
Can that
change.
be a condition of this vote?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion to, is the motion and second still good with the changes? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Vieira to move items 14, 15 with the said changes that staff is committed to make to the lease about reporting back on those 2 issues. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Miranda?
Yes.
Maniscalco? Hurtak?
Begrudgingly, yes.
Young? Vieira? Yes. Carlson? Clendenin?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Motion carries 5-2 with Carlson and Clendenin voting no.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are moving on to, okay, so let's see what we got going on here. That was 14 and 15, yep. So we're done there. We have got left
26, 27, and 28.
26, 27, 28.
Is that the last item?
No.
Then we have fire station report, and we have the disability internship program. Okay, we have a press conference scheduled right now, so how about we break for 20 minutes for the press conference?
I said 12:30, is it not?
I heard 12.
I thought it was 12.
Is it 12 or 12:30?
What are you guys?
I heard 12:30.
12:30? Oh, then let's go for 12:30. Okay, then let's keep going. Okay, here we go. Let's keep rocking. Item number 26 and 27 and 28. Let's hear those together, please. Well, they're all there. So. Okay, start with your name, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Council. Patrick Mesmer, Tampa Police Department. Looks like I've started this project back in late 2021. Looks like I'm going to be finishing it for us. So I appreciate everybody's work who's worked on this project, and I appreciate Council's previous unanimous votes in support of everything related to it and the comments that many council members have made in reference to the necessity of the Howard Avenue Annex. I know we've been in front of you guys plenty of times about this, so I don't want to regurgitate anything you've already heard. I do know that last month when we were in front of council, and our council member Hertak had some requests about potential cost savings for the future in reference to the Crockett's towing matter and how much the city could be saving on towing bills in the future. Just to cover that briefly, you know, even before we contracted with Crockett's, when we had the old impound lot on 34th Street, we still have to pay money to actually have the cars towed. It doesn't really matter where the cars are being towed. The city doesn't operate a towing service, so we have to either use one provider or use the rotation record providers to tow the cars, you know, to wherever they're going to be towed. So we did some research, and the numbers based upon averages since Crockett's Towing had the contract with us, which I believe started in July of 2023. It comes out to about $8,300 a month that the city would pay just in straight up tow fees. So we are paying right now a straight $10,000 a month for unlimited tows, in addition to the evidence that we have stored at the Crockett's facility. So while we can't give a specific dollar amount, what I anticipate, based upon what some other agencies have done, we will be renegotiating either the contract with Crockett's or going through the purchasing department to kind of decide if we want to move to a different provider. But I would say there would be a substantial cost savings, because essentially what we're going to be doing is providing one company the opportunity to have all of our police impounded vehicles, not the rotation vehicles. So they're going to be getting money back from that. So, you know, we're not going to be renting out the facility from them anymore. We're not going to be staffing that facility. We're not going to be storing evidence at that facility. We're just going to be allowing them to tow the impounded vehicles and, you know, store them for us. So there would be a contract negotiation where that rate would hopefully come down very significantly. Would not be anywhere close to $10,000 a month for that.
Thank you. Councilman Hertak? Yeah,
Thank
please.
you so much for doing the research and the work on that. And that's something that I would like to hear about as we get further along with this project, just kind of updates to us on that as well. And I can get with your office to talk about that more going forward. But I think it's one of the things that should be the benefit of this. And so I know that we're also changing how we tow and why we tow and how long we hold. So I do know there will be a lot of factors that make that decision. So thank you very much.
It's my intention to support this. You know, in the beginning, I was apprehensive, but you've done a lot of value engineering and you've reduced the cost of this to be, you know, substantially less than it was initially pitched. So it's my intention to support this project with the cost savings that have been rolled into the project. So, anybody else want to speak to this item?
No, I just want to make sure, you mentioned Crockett a couple of times. I believe that's a big vendor, isn't it?
I believe they have multiple. They may have multiple locations.
Yeah.
We have.
Do you have any vendors that are smaller vendors that might be able to get a piece of the pie that have the property?
So, again, in the future, potentially, that would have to be a separate.
Yeah, they're bonded and insured just like anybody else.
Right, but so these are we're not talking about cars that are in traffic accidents and get taken to a.
Yes.
So we can't have. We need to have our police impounded vehicles, our evidence vehicles in one place. We can't have detectives trying to drive all around the city to figure out where a vehicle might be.
Where's Crockett's place at?
It's in Drew Park.
Drew Park?
Yes, sir. So, I mean, potentially, I'm not saying that that could never change. You know, that is a contract, that is a 5-year contract that does expire, and there's gonna be negotiations to either renew that, and believe me, if we don't feel the Crockett's is gonna be giving us a value, then we will get with the purchasing department and see if we can find other options.
Thank you very much. That's enough. Thank you, officer.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
I'm just gonna go by, we received an email from Ms. Kopesky yesterday afternoon about the total cost. Right now, I'm just asking for clarification and making sure that this, I don't know, maybe, I think Mr. Perry is behind you, possibly. Oh, no, he's not. He's here. Yeah, he's somewhere. Okay, I couldn't see him. He's hiding from me. It's from what Ms. Kopesky put together, the total project cost will be $34.2 million, with $7 million having already been spent. Does that sound about right?
Yes, Mike Perry, Revenue and Finance.
Okay.
And this is something that was in the memorandum attached to the agenda.
Yes.
And what we try to do is to do a sources and uses.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Councilwoman Hurtak talked about is, this is the $7 million when the project was known as previously the impound lot project. And you can see even part of the financial resolution, if I may talk to that, is we're reducing that project amount by $175,000 of current bond proceeds and about $1.3 million of future bond proceeds to get to that $7 million. Once we pay the final purchase POs, final bills, that project will be closed. And we'll be concentrating on what we call the phase 2 up there. And you see the original $40 million?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We reduced it, again, this is to help us do the audit trail in 2 years when we're asked about the project. So you see the 1.2 coming back into the project, but it's being reduced by $14 million to a revised project for phase 2 at $27.2 million, and to reaffirm Councilwoman Hurtak's comment, the total project right now is at $34.2 million.
And the other thing, and the reason I brought this up, and my most important and interested portion, is what was under that, where it says opportunities. This is from Ms. Kopesky's email, where it talks about the possibility for cost savings even more as we go through this. And so she estimates that with contractor contingency, T&I equipment, and specialty equipment, and owner contingency, we might be able to save $2 million more. Again, this is just a conjecture, we're not sure, but I am going to be, again, I really appreciate the work that everyone has done to bring this cost down, and I am really gonna be looking at contingencies here. I want to see what we can do to move it faster, to do whatever we can do to continue and to bring it down even more. Because my bigger concern isn't the total cost. It's that we've already bonded for part of that $7 million, and we're gonna bond for a good part of this, $27 million. Hopefully we can use some CIT money, but I don't think we're gonna get the CIT funds in time for that. So anyway, I really do appreciate this. I appreciate all of the work that everyone has gone through for this, and I will be supporting this today.
Can I get a motion to move the resolutions to 26, 27, 28? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, a second from Councilman Viera. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. And I'll tell you what, at 48 million, it wouldn't have been a unanimous vote. So that's good. Thanks for doing that. Okay, item number 31. Somebody from fires, are they here?
Yeah, he's here.
Mutterback, are you gonna present?
I am not. I'm here to support, but the project manager, Ken Guyette, is he not on virtually?
Ken, are you there? Oh, you are? Okay, hold on. Ken, can you turn on your camera and make sure you're unmuted, please?
I'm here.
There
Good
you
afternoon,
are.
everybody.
I had gotten a note that you were going to mysteriously appear in front of us. Would you like to start presenting on item number 31, please? Start with
Yes,
your
let me
name.
just share my screen real quick if I
And start with your
can.
name, please. Ken, can you hear me?
And
Yeah, start with your name, please.
good afternoon, councilors. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much again. My name is Ken Guyette, I'm Senior Director with Collier's Project Leaders. We're the owner's project manager working on TFR number 24.
And Ken, I don't mean
to
to interrupt you, but we need to keep this as close to 5 minutes and no more than 10 minutes as you can. Thank you.
You got it, not a problem.
Okay.
So we'll jump right into it. So essentially, we're just giving you a kind of our update as we've done in the past, just going through the core team again that you see here. Nothing there has changed. A couple of updates that I want to make sure we got to. So first of all, construction documents, 90% construction documents have been completed as of the 17th of March. We have a guaranteed maximum price contract amendment, which is scheduled to be delivered early on May 15th versus the originally anticipated July 26th of this year. We're going to be looking for council approval for that guaranteed maximum price in late June, which again is a positive shift in the schedule from our earlier anticipated September of this year. And then as far as the construction completion, we're looking at September 1st, 2027 substantial completion versus an October 22nd substantial completion. And we're going to continue to monitor that and look for all avenues to be able to truncate that schedule. Obviously, that's a critical importance to us. A couple of other things that have happened since we last reported. We have successfully conducted 2 outreach sessions for the public. One was on February 21st. That was a Saturday. It was out at the project site. It was well attended. It was very successful. And the other was Thursday, February 26th, and that was at the Ball Corporation. Again, a very successful public outreach session. Stormwater retention has been modified based on the updated water calculations that the engineers keep crunching as we continue through the design phases. As you can see on this screen here in front of you, the retention basin has been enlarged slightly from the earlier iteration. That's due to the 100-year storm impact calculations that the engineer had to factor in, which also now has included additional vaults underneath the pavement, which we have been able to incorporate those costs for those vaults within the budget. So no negative budget impact there. We were able to capture all that within the current budget. This is just, again, showing you the new floor plan. It's no changes to the floor plan. It's just, again, a further refinement and iteration of the floor plan that was presented at the last council update. Revised rendering. This is, again, along White Way, looking essentially northeast at the project site. This is the southern elevation of the project. So this is along White Way, the southern exposure. And again, the same 2 views, however, at twilight. Lastly, looking at the schedule. So you've seen this schedule before. Again, the current status bar just keeps marching down as we continue to move through the phases of the project. You'll see the items in red have been moved to show, again, positive schedule updates. We've moved this GMP, submission of the GMP to earlier. We've moved the start date to earlier, as shown on here. And so, again, all overall positive news today on the project, and I'll field any questions that you may have at this point.
Thank you, Ken. Councilman Vieira.
Thank you. So, and we're, Mr. Chairman, we're leaving at 12:30, correct?
Correct.
Okay, put me on a timer for 2 minutes if you don't mind, because I could go on forever about this, right? I know, right? But Ken, I wanted to thank you very much for your hard work on this. I have a question. I just want to go through this really fast, if I may. You know, I always think a historical recitation of this is correct because you've done a great job in coming in and putting us on the right path. I've spoken to Mr. Mutterback about this, who, you know, the first couple times he had to come before council. This is something where we passed design funding, I believe it was in 2023, and then we passed a bonding program to the extent it was necessary in 2023, and we were told now that groundbreaking would occur about 3 years after that in September of 2026. I know you're pushing forward some of these deadlines and everything like that. What are we looking at for groundbreaking right now? Because it was September 2026, end of September, I think it was. What are we looking at now with some of your improvements, sir?
It'll be about a month earlier, Counselor, about August, middle to late August of this year.
Great, thank
So
you.
again,
And
yeah,
thank you. And
positive
Councilwoman Hurtak had made that motion, and I thank her for that, to specifically push for a month. So thank you for that, Councilwoman Hurtak, and thank you, sir, for that. So, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, I have nothing further to say. But again, thank you very much for this. I know I was at that meeting, and a lot of folks are looking forward to this, and this will finish the job on Station 13 with 24 and 25. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you again for this update. I really appreciate it. I just had one simple question because I know the community will ask. Will you be adding these documents, this PowerPoint to OnBase after we're finished today? Can you send that to the clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Hearing no other questions? Okay, okay, very good. Thank you very much for showing up. Appreciate that. So that concludes.
Thank you all.
That concludes this presentation on item 31. We'll close that out and look forward to the next presentation in May. Internship 32. Now, we did get a written report. Do you still need staff for this?
Well, they're here for this. I have a very quick question for them if I may.
There was nothing new. It was just a report. That's why I was confused.
They were waiting, so
Yeah.
may I have them speak for 90 seconds to the extent they had any update for us on
Okay,
this?
very good. Go ahead. Start with your name, please.
Brenda McKenzie, City of Tampa, Workforce Partnerships.
And I'm Raquel Piancho, 8A Coordinator for the city.
We've submitted a written report, but we are here for any questions.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Beer.
Thank you very much. I wanted to see how we went to that the jobs program, the forum, about a couple of weeks ago. How are we doing in terms of number of interns that we're looking at getting into this program now?
We've had a really positive response from the showcase that we held. We're expecting at the moment 3 to 4 interns coming on board in the next week or two based on that program. So we should be pretty close to capacity.
Great. And what's capacity?
Capacity, depending on how long the intern stays, could be anywhere to 4 to 8.
That's great. Thank you. I just wanted to thank you all, Council, Mayor Castor, and the administration. You guys, obviously, Ms. Pancho, you have a big heart for this, and you always do such a great job. And a lot of people in this community admire and love you. And Ms. McKenzie, you just coming in, you're the closer, Dennis Eckersley, from when I was a kid. If you follow baseball, I know, right? The old school. But y'all have done a great job, and again, I always want this to be because when I motioned for this, it wasn't the Mike Phillips All Abilities Internship Program. So again, y'all have done something very special for people who need something special for them. So just God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
World Autism Day.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to receive and file?
What do you have?
No, no, receive and file this written report. So we have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, that concludes our old business or our agenda items.
Mr. Chairman, I just have to I have to clarify one item.
Yes.
Actually, I have to qualify more than one item.
Okay. Give me a number first.
26, 27, and 28, but specifically 26. There was no notation on the agenda. However, council's rules do state that if it's a contract more than $20 million, it needs to appear twice on the agenda. My understanding is the first time this has appeared on the agenda. So
in new business, can we have these come back on for a second reading?
no, because you've already moved them. You have to rescind. Or
Second.
Okay, motion to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider first, and then
So we have
we'll
motion
get
to reconsider from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilwoman Hurtak.
that. Question. 26, 27, and 28, all three?
26, 27, and 28.
Okay, thank
So
you.
motion to reconsider 26, 27, 28 from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Those are now on the floor.
The ayes have it. The motion on the floor is to to add for second reading for the resolutions for 26, 27, 28 to April 16th. We have a motion from Councilman Viera. We have a second from Councilman Maniscalco. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's
Okay,
it.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, that concludes our regularly scheduled program, and then we're to new business. Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, don't forget, and I mentioned this to the Rays and Marty, if the Tampa Bay Rays come up with a memorandum of understanding that's binding, that's the same as a contract, and so it has to be heard twice over 2 weeks also, so that it can't be a quick vote unless it's just symbolic. My appointee to the Budget Advisory Committee, Brittany Lissy, has tendered her resignation. I would like to make a motion to accept Tara Bluma's application to the Budget Advisory Committee and for a resolution to be prepared and brought back for adoption on April 9th. April 16th? Okay.
I can, Mr. Chairman, if I can talk to that just very, very quickly. We have two appointees, but you don't have the resolution, but you did adopt or accept them by motion previously. So there is a meeting a week from Friday. Both your appointees are now members and are invited to attend.
Okay.
So it
So
doesn't, so
is
in
my
other words,
motion correct?
once this motion passes, the resolution just ratifies it. So I just want you to know that they have the opportunity to begin participating next
Okay.
Friday.
Next Friday. Got it.
I think Charlie seconded.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough yes for me, but I'll do it out of deference to you.
She's a neighborhood leader, Port Tampa neighborhood leader.
I will do this out of deference to you.
Oh, may I just really quick on it?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
am philosophically opposed 100% to this appointee, but I believe every person needs to have discretion in appointing, and I'll be supported under that qualification.
Ditto. Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Carlson, a second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. I would like to submit my Form 8B from earlier to receive.
Motion to receive the recusal form from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Viera. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Let me read this other one real fast. And I'm just reading what I was handed. In fiscal year 25, the city received a $650,000 settlement with the Florida Gas Transmission Company, LLC. This was written in coordination with staff as payment for a natural gas pipeline easement agreement for properties in the Port Tampa area. That funding was placed into project 100216 Small Neighborhood Parks, which is a citywide capital project. I would like to make a motion to request that the administration prepare a financial resolution reallocating the $650,000 to project 100223 Gandy Park South and AJ Polonis Park, since this compensation was for the public area lost in District 4, and given that the GMP the council approved recently for the Gandy Park South AJ Polonis Park does not provide all the amenities that were sought in the original design, this would serve to increase the ability to fund many of those items.
I think I need more information. I think this needs to go, ask that to be placed on a future agenda so we can look at it.
Can
If you
I,
ask the administration to figure what was missing, what it is, and give me all the facts.
Yeah.
And I'm not charging, saying
Okay.
that you're
I was
wrong or
just-
anything, I just want all the facts.
Would you like to add that to that unfinished business, staff report and unfinished business for this?
I'll leave it. I don't think they can. Can we do that? Add this to unfinished business?
yes, can I do that? Make a motion to add it to
Yes.
unfinished business.
We have a
That'd be
motion
on
from
the
Councilman
16th.
Carlson to add this to April 16th unfinished business, a second from Councilman Viera. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else? Councilman Viera? Nothing.
Okay.
Councilwoman Young?
Okay, I have a quick motion. So there's a potential conflict of issue under the city's ethics code affecting entities such as the CDC or the Housing Authority, prohibiting them from applying for CRA grants because they have employees sitting on the CAC for the CRA. I would therefore like to make a motion for the legal department to review and provide City Council with a written report detailing possible options for addressing that conflict of interest issue in the city's ethics code as City Council's May 7th. Who did that? Okay.
Probably
Conflict of interest issue in the city's ethics code at the City Council's May 7, 2026 meeting. And the reason this came up is because we had an issue with the CDC applying for one of the grants for CRA. So that's why I'm making this motion to have legal
We've heard
comment
this
speak with
before, by
us.
the way.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've heard this before, and the
Yeah.
only answer is to have them not be on
Right.
the CAC board. So, I mean, you may wish to talk to Attorney Shepherd before bringing this forward, but the answer pretty much is they can't be on it.
Right.
Well, I would rather them come and
Okay.
say that to
No,
the
can I-
public.
Wait, there's no harm in that. Councilman Carlson?
No, I think maybe you were in the meeting, but I talked to the parties that were a part of this, and Marcy Hamilton was in the meeting yesterday and said that it was okay. So, but my thing is CRA staff does not have the right to tell people whether they're meeting the ethics code violation or not. Only the city attorney does. And remember, in the charter, the city attorney not only represents city council and the mayor, but also committee members. And so the committee members have every right to go directly to the attorney. And thank you to the attorneys for weighing in today. They overruled the staff person in this situation. And so I don't know if it's written down anywhere, but as far as the city attorney's office is understood, I think it's fine. But I agree that this should come out into the open so that we could make sure that nobody else feels afraid.
I don't think there's any harm in that motion to bring it
I
back.
don't-
So
just for them
we
to
have-
come back
We have a
and
motion,
talk to
Councilwoman Young, a second from Councilman Carlson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The
Okay.
ayes have it.
And then also the East Tampa Town Hall is Monday, April 20th. Doors at Fair Oaks. Doors open at 6. It's going to be from 6:30 to 8.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Councilwoman Hurtak.
Yes, after clearing the calendar of recurring staff reports, I spoke to Director Feely, and she requests to appear on May 7th, 2026, with an LDC update, and then bi-monthly moving forward for a year.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, second from Councilman Rand. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Is that it? Yep. Councilman Maniscalco. Councilman Randa. I have two quick things. One, Councilman Vieira, on the April 16th agenda, you have legal staff to return for an ordinance for the City of Tampa Veterans Committee. We've already accomplished that with moving this for the second reading of the ordinance. So can you make a motion to remove
Yes, sir.
that
So moved.
item from staff
Thank you.
reports?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion from Councilman Vieira, second from? Second from Councilwoman Hurtak to remove the legal staff to return an ordinance of City of Tampa Veterans Committee on the April 16th meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Just a FYI, we have a Heart Board meeting next week. I plan on making a motion at the Heart Board, and with this has been coordinated with Mobility and with Heart, to have Heart start the transfer process of Marion Street back to the City of Tampa to re-engage that street with the grid in the city. It would not restrict the bus transit, but to open it up for business as usual.
Why is it, did we approve that? I don't know why the city staff are announcing that we're going to do this if we haven't approved it yet.
I don't know.
They're announcing all over next door that it's going to happen, and we haven't even finished Franklin Street yet.
Yeah, no,
They're slow walking Franklin Street.
there's nothing that we're doing with it yet. The Downtown Partnership is committed to do it, maybe to present an overlay district, and that's it. Councilman Rand, I'm sorry.
I just got handed something. I need the reminder that we should be prepared to discuss the proposed 2027 budget workshop dates this Thursday at regular meeting. The Finance Committee, Revenue Finance Committee suggests that. August 3rd would be the first workshop for general fund. August 10th would be the workshop for enterprise funds. And August 17th would be the workshop for stormwater and mobility. And I'd like to put this as a
Time? It's a Monday, they're all Mondays, I believe.
Mondays. Mondays, it will be, would it be, you want it the day or the evening?
Why don't we do time to be announced? We'll set the date and then time to be announced, because we could look at maybe a mix of day and night.
It's a workshop.
No, yeah, hey, Kapowski, City Council Budget Analyst. I think because some of you were absent last week, we paused on this, but truly the times are open for discussion.
So let's to be determined the time.
I know we did things last year in a certain way, but I think we're basically saying fresh start.
Yeah, so why don't we come back to the April 16th meeting with the times of what times those will be scheduled. So with unanimous consent on the setting the dates with time to be determined. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion receive and file from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Anybody that wants to go to the press conference? It's happening now. We're adjourned.